Jigs and Bigs is proud to announce we're being supported by Old Glory Outdoors. They're a veteran-owned company that carries fishing and hunting gear. Plus, they're highly active in supporting veteran organizations and charities. Old Glory is an authorized dealer of favorite rods, FX rods, Guggen baits, X-Zone lures, Sixth Sense, and many more. There's a brick-and-mortar store located in East Brookfield, Massachusetts, but you can also order online at oldgloryoutdoors.com. They ship anywhere in the lower 48 states or order online and pick up at the store. When you order, use the promo code JIGS and Bigs and you'll save 10% off your complete order. Plus, you'll help support the show. Make sure to check out the apparel line called OGO Gear while you're there. Old Glory Outdoors believes in the slogan "Start 'em young" to keep kids away from screens and enjoying nature. They've got a full array of live bait too. Check out oldgloryoutdoors.com and use the promo code JIGS and Bigs. Save some money and gear up now. Guys, Jigs and Bigs. It is Tuesday. Once again, we've got another show for you. Can you believe that we have done this? Well, not this exact open, but we've done an intro for this show for the last 12 months. It kind of blows my mind. It's been quite the journey. We're going to talk about a lot about that journey and talk about the differences of how much we've kind of come as creators, content creators, really, and sort of the road that it's been on the way here. But we've got lots more to talk about too. We've got stuff. MAKB, the very first MAKB Western Division tournament happened over the weekend. We've got all the details coming up for you, covering that. We have all kinds of good stuff, plus a little bit of drama. If I'm being perfectly honest here, a little bit of like internet drama. We'll get into that a little bit. All around, just really great stuff for you this week, guys. We have an awesome show. I hope you guys are ready to have some fun. We've been having fun since we hit 10K on Instagram. That's all thanks to every single one of you and your friends, because clearly there's a lot of you. I can't believe it. And we appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to go ahead and get started right after this. Don't go too far. All right, guys, how we doing? Sean, how are you this evening, my friend? You have had an amazing weekend.
Man, well, you and I talked yesterday. I actually had a parody theme song I was going to sing when you said hello to me on this podcast.
Yep.
And it's no longer valid. I can't sing it.
Yeah.
I'll wait another day. I'll wait till I get into a funk. So we're doing really well, man. We're doing really, really well.
That's awesome.
I actually just got off the water.
Yep.
And we got stuff to talk about.
Very nice. Very nice. So we have a little bit of some notes going here. So let's break it down and talk about, well, there's a couple things that we should do. We should probably update a few people over like our weekend happenings, kind of the breakdown, what we've been dealing with over the last handful of days. I've been out on the water a couple of times. We should probably start with Friday. Why don't we start with Friday? I'll start with Friday. And then we'll go from there, because we can kind of wrap in one of your, I'll probably say, I say your biggest success of the weekend. We'll be able to roll that right in. So on Friday, I tried really hard to get out and do some fishing, but I had appointments like all over the place. I had to take the kids to the dentist, which was an adventure. Got all that stuff done, and then I had an appointment to go get my first vaccination, my first COVID vaccination. So my appointment was for what I think noon, and like the setup that they have going over there is crazy organized, but so many people, like they're all just, so many people are coming in there, making appointments and scheduling them, and the organization is crazy. So I get in there, and it's looking like I'm not going to have any time in the afternoon to get out and fish, and it was really kind of, It was bringing me down. It really was. And as you would have it, like things picked up a lot quicker than I thought they would. I was out within about an hour, headed out to a pond that I had been aware of but had never fished before. And I was just going to do some bank fishing, nothing crazy. Walked up to this one bank and was looking around, and it looked like this big sandy flat in front of me with like a couple of like one random stump over here and some reeds that were kind of like just coming back to life off to my right hand side, but I can see bait fish all over, like everywhere. It was ridiculous. So I started throwing a lipless, and I got nothing. Eventually what I ended up doing was just going finesse and throwing a Nico rig, and I caught 4 or 5. It was great, all nibblers, but it was fantastic. Had a whole lot of fun with it, and then that brings us to Friday, and I think this is where Sean kind of jumps in. Did you fish on Friday though too, Sean? Didn't you?
I did. I got out for like 2 hours at a local pond that has been over the years feast or famine for me, and I knocked in 2 nibblers and a nibbler pickerel. So I was a little fried.
Yep. Fair enough.
What are you going to do?
But you bounced back because you came into trivia Friday night, and you owned one of those questions, man.
Look, when we're at trivia, you notice like generally I'm quiet. If I get a question right and I've beaten my buddy Tommy, like I'll make a comment at most to him.
Yep.
Because I've known the guy for 30 years and we like needling each other. It's funny. Yeah. So this weekend at trivia was the only time that I answered a question where I made up an answer and it was right. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those. What type of question was it? Was
they call it a sequence question, where you have a list of different items, and sometimes that list will just be letters, and you have to create a word out of them by tapping them in order.
Yeah. So in my case, and this question was a historical question. It was something, one of the kings of England, correct?
It was who was a king of England, Denmark, and a third country. I forget. Might have even been Spain.
Yeah. So whatever it was, the letters were ridiculous. And I looked at it and I'm like, I have no idea. And I spelled out I had 2 seconds and I just spelled it out real quickly. Canute. And it was right. And that was the only time I've ever went, yes, and put my arms up in trivia.
Well,
I was nuts.
It was, what makes it doubly interesting is that's one of those questions that I like to call a callback, although it was late. So I've actually had that name come up in the last 2 weeks, maybe, in another question where it was multiple choice. Like, which of these individuals was the king of these 3 locations? Like, what name registers as the king of these 3 countries? And when that name came up, when I think it's pronounced Canute, I could be wrong. I probably am. And so that name comes up, and I was like, okay, so it's possible somebody's going to get this. I see a lot of the same faces game after game after game. So when you did that, I was like, he must have remembered. Obviously.
I don't think I was even at that one. I missed one.
Maybe
a week.
Not. Yeah, that's true. You did miss a week. And actually, it might have been that week that we had done it, but it was crazy. I was like, that's amazing. This man knows his shit. Knows his shit.
And it was an early fast track, so I went to first place on that. I was all pumped.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Making shit up, I rule.
It's a good feeling, man. It is a damn good feeling. Yeah, so that brings us to Friday. And then Saturday hit, and Saturday was kind of crazy because I was playing around with the idea of getting out and doing some fishing early, and that was initially the plan. But I had an issue where my wife and I had ordered some appliances to be delivered. We were told that they were going to be here, I think it was Saturday afternoon, which is going to prevent me from attending the meetup after the MAKB West tournament over at Old Glory Outdoors. So I was kind of bummed about that. And then I found out Friday night that they were going to bump that window to like 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. So I'm like, oh, this is great. Well, I'm not going fishing in the morning. I'll have to stick around and wait till this is all handled and then whatnot. So I ended up not getting out on the water at all on Saturday, but took a ride out to Old Glory and got some of the scoop on what happened out at Quabog Pond for the very first Western Division MAKB tournament to go down, and it was packed. I mean, it was full. You had one angler that wasn't able to attend, but it was sold out. Before, yeah.
Unfortunately, one angler, I'm not going to name him. His wife went into labor really, really early, enough to be of concern.
Yeah.
And it turns out mother and baby are just fine. We found out afterwards, which is awesome.
Awesome. Definitely.
So congrats. Congrats to Mike Morcone and his wife and their new child. I did not hear the if it was a boy or a girl, but
that's awesome though. It's huge.
I had a few other things going on.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. No, believe me, I'm sure, man. You know, and I mean, definitely one of the most, understandable reasons. You're like, hey, baby's on the way. I'm not going to be able to fish this one. Got some other stuff going on. So, but I mean, for your first run out, man, you filled every slot. Like, that's congratulations. Yeah. That's really good. And I know it was something that you were concerned with too. It was like, is the interest there enough to have people come out here? So it was great to finally, see so many people. I think this is the first time I've got to meet Ken in person. Nate was there. Who else was there?
Nelson.
Ray. Nelson, of course.
Ray.
Of course, Nelson was there. Ray. Ray and I talk back and forth on Instagram quite a bit. It was nice to finally meet him in person. It was just a whole lot of fun. And I got to gear up for some other Nico rig adventures, which was great. Always. I'm really loving that rig. I really am. It's like anytime I can get like a little bit of, what was it? I think it was an episode of Tackle Talk. Andrew Hayes said like getting out there with artificial lures is like when you were a little kid. And Sean, you can understand this. I mean, I know they're collector's items now when they're up on, but like when you have like all these toys and you're playing with your toys, like when you find a new way to be able to use a worm or a hook worm weight combo in a way that's effective, like it's kind of, there's something about that I like,
Yeah.
So.
When you have a tweak that's, unique to your experience and it works, like what I've been doing with plastic creatures for the past, 3 years now.
Yep.
I don't know anybody else who does it and it's successful. And I honestly keep my mouth shut about it. I don't tell people what I'm doing.
Yep.
But
those are those like special little secrets you just want to hang on to. You're like, no, this one's for me. It is what it is. But
I put the work in to figure it out, and I'm not just going to pass that up to somebody so they can whoop my ass with it in a tournament.
Yep.
Easy enough.
I had something come up that I thought about wanting to, thought about the idea of mentioning it on the show, and I wasn't 100% sure. That podcast, I've sent over a couple of episodes for you to check out. The one with Lojo and Ayo, Fishing After Dark.
Yes.
Right? And we've talked about that before. They had an episode, the newest one that had come out, and it was all about LiveScope and its effect on. It was really great. I would love to get some other experts to weigh in on some of the input there, but they were talking about like LiveScope, and now I guess like there were a couple of YouTube anglers that got just shredded. And I mean, the reality is it's just because this is something you can see, but they had like an amazing day out in this one Texas lake, and they were just presenting something in front of the right fish at the right time, like using the tools that they had. And they had like, I don't know what the size of the bag was, but it was like 50 plus pounds. It was ridiculous. And, they caught some flack because of using Panoptics, and there's this air of like, well, that's an unfair advantage. And it's like, I thought about what you had said. You're like, you can put a nail in with a screwdriver, but God, isn't using a hammer that much easier? Like, they're tools.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. I listened to the podcast. You guys go ahead and take a listen to it. I know how some people like the Googans can be very polarizing, but Lojo, his show is entertaining. It's good. I enjoy it. And then he had what probably my favorite Googan, Lake Fork guy. I think probably the most knowledgeable one on to give some feedback, and he raised a couple of good questions. He goes, anytime he goes, look at side imaging, when you have like side imaging that comes out, anytime you have changes in your technology for being able to graph fish, you're now effectively changing the game. So it's more about being like kind of cognizant about the effect that will have on those fisheries, long term. More than just like, hey, we got this huge bag. Like, what's that going to do to the population of the fish? Is there going to have to be other types of management implemented, in order to be able to work it out? Nobody can make that decision now because it's brand new technology. But I figured it was just one of those things. I was like, it's kind of interesting. We maybe talk about that.
It's definitely, technology is technology. It's always going to advance. It's always going to get better. But I mean, it's still in the hands of whoever's using it.
Yep.
Like, I'm pretty sure I don't have Panoptics.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm sure there's a couple guys that had Panoptics in the tournament, but this week,
and let's be honest, like there's having that technology, and then there's having that technology to have it dialed in to know what it's truly effective with. You know what I mean? Those are two separate things.
And then even seeing the fish doesn't mean that you're going to be throwing the right thing in front of them to bite. There's a lot more. It's just a part of the puzzle. So I get it.
Yeah. It was just something I thought was interesting. I was like, like that's kind of crazy. Because I remember when this whole like buzz kind of popped up and there was this big like bounce back of like, you guys, how dare, like they caught, I forget the name of the organization in Texas that after you catch, I think it's a 13 plus, they basically take it, record it, and then use it for breeding purposes to extend the genetics. And they turned in like a record number on that, well, like one trip that they were there. I mean, it was amazing. You should definitely see the video. It's just fantastic. It's sort of the day on the water every angler wishes that they just stumbled into, but the odds of that happening, you know, so use your Panoptics.
Yeah. You got to use it. It ain't illegal. What the hell?
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness, man. Goodness. So let's jump into our list here. Let's talk about what we have going on. We still have to get through your weekend.
Dude, my weekend started last Tuesday. Okay. This past Tuesday.
Life. Yeah.
Yeah. This was the start of it. So we can't, as we talked about last show, we can't in MAKB pre-fish any later than Wednesday. So you can pre-fish on Wednesday. The minute the clock strikes, 12:01 or 12 o'clock on midnight between Wednesday and Thursday, you're done. You can't pre-fish. So I pre-fished on Tuesday. Now, for our listeners that aren't in the area, which apparently we have a lot of them, Quabog Pond is where we had our first tournament out in East Brookfield, Mass. And it's kind of central in the state.
Yep.
The pond has a river in the northeast corner flowing into it, and the northwest corner flowing out of it. Mm-hmm. All right. And when I went pre-fishing on Tuesday, I only had a couple hours because right before I was out doing something. When I came home, there was a package waiting for me. Big deal here, which I'm going to get into a little bit.
Yep.
So I received a package Tuesday afternoon when I got home from doing errands or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was my native Sidekick wheels that attach right to the tracks on the Slayer. So I installed those. It took a little while longer than I thought because it doesn't even give you instructions. Which anybody from Native listening, your instructions for your Sidekick are not exactly good. It says go on YouTube and watch the video to install. And yeah, I did, but I don't know. I didn't like it too much. So
that's common. A lot of companies I've noticed have started doing that.
Yeah, well, that was the first one I came across. So I installed it, took it out to Quabog, and my plan was to check out the weed growth in the lake first, then start poking around the rivers. And I've always had Goody's here with us.
Yeah,
Excellent.
He is.
All right, hi Matt. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. Hope everything's well.
I haven't talked to him in like 20. It's been a long time.
Fucking work turtle. He's out there. So, so I went up into I checked out the weed growth, went around a little bit of a circle, didn't see much, which kind of tipped me off that maybe the main lake isn't going to be where the fish are going to be caught.
Yep.
At least the ones that mattered. So I went into the Brookfield River, which is the one that flows in on the northeast side. It was warmer. It was 3 degrees warmer than the lake. And I said, that is just bizarre because every time I've gone there during the summer, that lake is always significantly colder, like 5 degrees colder. So I said, what the hell is going on here? And I saw some signs of life. It was about low 50s in that river. There was some fish moving around, bluegills or whatever in the shallows. So I said, okay, I didn't get any bites though. Like I said, that's where I have my my normal amount of luck. But what I noticed was not only was that river down and the pond was down like 3 feet. Yeah. Like we're going into the spring in drought conditions.
Yep.
Which is bizarre. So I came back out and I said, you know what? I better check the other river. And I pedaled all the way across with the wind and got there, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes before dark. Started casting, got nothing. And I turned around and pedaled all the way back, and I said, that's not good because that was the same temperature as the pond. So now I have the warmer northern river and the other river and the pond were under 50 degrees. So I said, what the hell am I going to do? And I said, well, I got to go with the warmer river. The fish are going to be where it's warmer. So fast forward to Saturday morning. We have our crew assembled. Nelson and I give our little captain's meeting briefing, introduce Ken, thank everybody for coming. And really, I mean that was flattering. And I'm absolutely humbled that everybody made it out to do that. That was an excellent way to kick everything off. And I hope those of you guys that were new to tournament fishing keep something in mind. I have to keep this in mind every time I get into the water with Ken Wood and Joe DiDeo and Nate Shagnon and John Ferreira and Nelson. There's no guarantees. No matter how good of a fisherman you are, you're up against some of the best.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with losing 20 if I place in one. So that's what I always mentally keeps me going in that, so I don't get down. The day started off all right. It was calm. Water was glass. It was a little chilly, but that was all right. And when we got in the water, the way MAKB tournaments work is you get in the water 15 minutes before the start of the tournament. You're free to pedal or paddle or power your way to wherever you're going. You got a 15-minute early launch. You cannot wet a line until 7.
Gotcha.
So there was a few people with powered kayaks, and almost everybody had pedal, and there were a few paddlers, which towards the end of the day I actually feel bad about. I'll get into in a minute. But immediately when I said 6:45 go, 8 kayaks turned left towards that north river, and I said, well, I'm not going that way now because that river is tight. It doesn't have a lot of room. I actually had to brief beforehand, mind your etiquette if you're in that river because it's so narrow.
Yeah.
You've really got to watch the spacing and be polite to, your fellow fishermen and say, hey, do you mind if I pass? Whatever you got to do. So when I saw that many people take off, I said, all right, I'm going to try the other one because I don't think the pond's going to do anything. The only other time in my life that I've ever fished that river was last year. Nelson and I went there in the summer, and we had such a miserable day that I swore off that river. I said, fuck that place. I'm never going back. Well, Saturday morning rolled around, and I had no choice. So who's powering next to me but Ken? I'm like, oh, great. Now I got to share the river with this guy. This is going to be fucking rough.
Yep.
And I think after talking with Nelson, I think he had originally planned to go that way too. And because his pre-fishing told him to go that way, I was like, I don't know, man. I didn't see it with the temperatures, but to each their own.
Yeah.
So we got about halfway across the lake, and Ken turns to me and goes, oh, shit. I go, what's the matter? He goes, I left my catch board in my truck.
Oh, no.
So he went, nice U-turn, took back off. I'm like, holy shit. So I ended up getting in there first. And then here's where being in so many tournaments at once can actually be a blessing at times when you get one fish and it counts for all of them, but it can be a curse because I got there with the water like glass. I'm going to let everybody into the mind of Sean the Fisherman, and this is going to be a recurring theme throughout today because it happened again today. When I see water like glass, I love using floating Rapalas when it's shallow. I love it. It's really some weird combination of finesse fishing, topwater fishing, and sight fishing all in one. I get such a rush when it's shallow, and there's even a moderate sized fish that makes that fucking V wake right at your floating Rapala when you're just twitching it. It's so awesome. And so I got around this one corner and I saw some vegetation growing up, and I said, well, I'll start fooling around with a Rapala there, see if I can get something. And within 2 casts, I got a bass, and it was 8 inches, and I was all proud of myself.
Yeah.
And I threw it overboard.
Yep.
And then 2 minutes later, I caught a 9-inch bass, and I was all proud of myself, and I threw that one overboard without measuring either of them because I completely forgot it was an 8-inch minimum. Yep. Because all I was thinking was 12-inch, 12-inch, 12-inch.
Oh, no, wrong sound effect.
Yeah. And about a second later, after I threw that one over, Nelson had just texted me saying, hey, I'm on the board. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I see he has a 10.75. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, 10.75. Why does he have a 10.75?
Yeah.
How did that count? And I realized, oh, shit, we have an 8-inch minimum. So there's your director. getting the season off on the right foot right there.
Directing as it would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, dude, if you can't laugh at yourself, who the fuck can you laugh at, right?
No. You're 100% right.
So the third fish, this is a good one. Now, everyone knows that the price of fucking all jerkbaits and floating rapalas has significantly risen since the 90s. Well, there was a massive swirl under my bait and it disappeared. And I was set the hook and I felt pressure and then I felt nothing. And when I got the line back, it was clean through like with a knife. And I said, pickerel or a pike. And as I'm sitting there, I see this little ring and something break the surface. My Rapala had escaped and it came floating back up.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I found it. It severed the line about an inch in front of the knot.
Oh, that's perfect.
So there's a $13 Rapala that came back to me, or $10 Rapala. So I continued on my way and started actually measuring and photographing. Can you believe that? Any bass that I caught from that point on. I did fill a limit, and I got to the area where Nelson and I fished last year, and I was very particular about it and really took my time in there because there was some depth to that part of the river. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping that with the low water, fish were congregating there, and they were. So I nabbed a 17-incher on a bass jig, which was nice.
Nice.
I already had that survived the day. I had a 13-incher from the Rapala. I caught a bunch of fish on that Rapala. I mean, just a lot. But then the wind kicked up and I went subsurface. When the wind kicks up, I just don't think it's as effective. Mm-hmm. And honestly, dude, we should do everything we can to. You and I discussed this. We were just kind of laughing about it, but let's get serious. Let's reach out, Mike Iaconelli. If you'd like to come on and talk nothing but floating Rapalas with me, that might be a dream come true. That might be awesome. Yeah, because Mike, he's the only pro I know that really advocates those things. You know what I mean? Yep. By any Northeast, so shallow waters, shallow rivers, floating Rapalas.
It does make sense, Yeah.
I mean, that's what I grew up on. That's the first lure I learned. Yeah. And I still use them to this day. I mean, it's been 32 years of using these things. Yep. So I had a 17 on the board, and when I looked at the standings, I wasn't standing watching, but I'd check every 2 hours or so. There were fish being caught, but they were all small, like really small. And I'm like, wow, that's 17-incher. That might hang on for something. That's a big fish so far. Of course, Ken was in the lead for most of the day because the dude just catches fish. I mean, there's a reason he goes to pro tournaments and can make waves. He reads the water well. And he's a really good fisherman. Yep. And I was hanging around in second because of that 17-incher. And then after that, I had like a 13 and then a bunch of like 12s and 10s. It was just shitty. Yeah. So I went to the second bend on that stretch, and I caught an 18 on the bass jig, an 18 and a half. And I'm like, all right, now I'm cooking. Now I'm right behind Ken because he was just solid. He had like 16s and 15s and I think 114. He was killing it. Yeah. So now I'm like, all right, now I got a shot here, right? Actually, let me look at Ken. So I got the things up. Yeah, he's just solid. Elliot was 14s, 15s, and 16s. Like there weren't those little fish everyone else seemed to be piling up. Yeah. He had already kind of separated the wheat from the chaff. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. And so I had a 17 and 18 and then a bunch of little ones, and they still weren't enough to catch him. So I'm like, shit, what am I going to do? And then the wind really picked up. Yeah. And I had fished those two bends I was talking about, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go back because there was another bend that had some similar drop and structure to where I was catching fish. Maybe there's something lying around in there. And there wasn't, except for a pickerel. But that was a chronic trips fish. I'd also like to take a moment right now. Yeah. That when I was winging around that floating Rapala, all willy-nilly, I had a good moment. I had a good moment. Okay. Explain. I had a 7-inch bluegill grab that bad, Larry. And that made my morning.
On the floating Rapala.
7-inch floating Rapala, 7-inch bluegill. They do that.
A bluegill was hungry. Damn.
Dude, the point is, I checked off a box on the chronic trips.
Yeah, you did.
We'll come back to that later because there was some action there. But so I got the 17, I got the 18, I got the 13, and then I had 2 crabfish. Yep. And I went to that other area. I got nothing. And then there was 2 hours or 2.5 hours left. I said, all right, with the wind coming up and the sun came out, I'm like, I'm going to do what I'm doing with the jig, and I'm going to downsize for a plastic creature. Yep. Ned rigged. And I didn't get anything big off the first bend, and when I came to that second bend, my rod doubled over, and I got a 19.5.
There you go.
Yeah, that was huge. I got that in. I was all pumped at that point because that was the biggest fish of the tournament to that point. Actually, I didn't know that. I thought my 18 was like 18.75, I believe. I thought that fish was the biggest to that point.
Yep.
Come to find out down the road, it was not, because the standings.
Didn't Nelson hook into?
Yeah,
like a 19?
So yes, but I didn't see it before the standings went off. So the standings go off at 1, and that adds an air of mystery. You don't know what's happened in the last 2 hours.
Gotcha.
It keeps, if you're even in the hunt, it keeps you involved.
Yeah.
Okay. And one thing I should have actually announced before the tournament was, and I got more clarity on how the process goes. Now that I'm a director, I have to know these things.
Yep.
I thought it was only going to be 3 spots paying out. It was 5. So.
Oh, that's great.
And so let's, if Ken was obviously kind of running away with it and I was right there with him, and then there was kind of a break.
Yep.
But there was so many people in that tier that 1 or 2 more fish would have put him in the top 5.
Yeah.
And if you know that, it keeps you going. You know what I mean? Like one more fish, you just got to keep rolling.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely keeps people. It's like when I do that at trivia and I'm like, well, if this team can get this last question, it's going to, bump them up to this position. Yeah. Yep.
So it's a little bit of motivation. So, so with 2 hours left, I hit that fish at 1 o'clock even. And, so I had a 19, 18, 17, 15, or a 19, 18, 17, 13 and a shit fish. And I'm like, I got to get rid of this like 12 inch or 10 inch or whatever it is, because I've seen a million tournaments where Ken catches people in the he finally gets a read on something in the last hour or two, and it's curtains.
Pulls it all together, and then it's game over.
And the whole time after I caught that 19, that's all I could think of was Ken is a closer. He is. He's a closer.
Yeah.
You can't leave him any wiggle room, or he just, you can't sit back on your heels. You got to keep fishing hard.
Yep.
So I did go back to that first bend, and I got a 15.5. So my final 5 fish were the 13 that hung around all day on the Rapala, the 15 on the Ned rig, 17 and an 18, 17 even, 18 3/4 on the bass jig, and then 19.5 on the Ned rig.
Nice.
I ended up with 84 inches. Luckily, Ken didn't upgrade anymore, so he finished second. I didn't do a little write-up yet. I'm planning on doing that actually when we're done recording, because I've been on the water for basically 3 days, 2 days straight.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And that's the other thing. I'm also in the middle of my monthly, where you pick a week in the month and fish. So like, I'm just out there fishing, man. I'm grinding this week. I got permission from the wife to go balls out, and it's just been my arm hurts from casting. Yeah, it's been crazy. So top 5 for this tournament, real quick, if you don't mind me covering that.
No,
I mean, again, I'll cover it in other forms of media.
No, this is what we want. And I should say, actually, before we get to those results, coming soon in the show, we've reached out to Slay Nation, and Frank is going to be reaching out to all of his tour directors. We're going to have regular weekly tour updates for the regional trails that surround the area. And that's not just kayak fishing either. We've got some big boat clubs. We've got, basically all kinds of organizations that clubs that have results that for us to share. We want them to kind of utilize us as a platform. So we'll have more of that. So think of this as like just a preview with this weekend's last tournament. So take it away.
Yeah, and I've already been covering the Chronic Trips for a year. Yeah. We talk about that all the time. And now that with the Western Division up for MAKB, I'll be talking about that anytime we have a tournament, plus any oddball stuff you and I get involved in with EKF. Three Bells is having their tournament. And it's going to be, I think you and I are kind of focused on more, aside from the Slay Nation stuff and anybody else who wants to talk with us. As far as my end, I'm really going to focus on stuff that I'm involved in.
Oh, of course.
Just because I'm going to have that point of view. I did get asked, you and I talked this morning, to appear on John Ferreira's podcast, The Breakdown, because he's going to be covering all things MAKB and EKF regionally apart from us. So you guys all feel free to check him out if you want. Yep. So I'll be popping in on that to talk about this tournament. But the final 5 were Sean Dwyer knocked in 65 3/4. Nelson hit the money, 68 and a quarter. And the funny part about that is after the standings went off and I had decided to call it quits at about 2:30 to get back in time, because again, as a director, I wanted to be making sure people were on the water, off the water, et cetera. But I ran into Nelson, and wouldn't you know it, he was throwing a lizard. That's a strange thing for Nelson to be throwing.
That's bizarre.
I know. Yeah. I know. And I said, how you making out? He goes, good. I got on some fish a little late. I said, great. I upgraded my lunker from that 18 and 7.5, and he snapped his head around. He goes, to what? And I go, now I'm confused. I'm like, 19 and a half. Why? Dude, he slapped his lizard and the tip of his rod down on the water. He goes, God damn it. I go, what? He goes, I had a 19 and a quarter.
That's awesome.
And Nate was actually pedaling in with us, and I started laughing at Nelson, and I said, you've been dude butted.
Yeah.
Because that's what the dude bud did to me for most of a decade. Just you catch one fish, the dude bud's got one just a little bit bigger, just to turn that screw.
It's all it needs to be, yeah.
Yep. So Nelson did finish strong with that 19 and a quarter, and finished fourth. Nick Ringard dropped in 71 and a quarter. Nice job, Nick.
Nice.
Very solid bag. Again, just like Ken's, just didn't have that second. Let me see. I don't think he had that second 16-incher. Now he had a 17. So nice job, Nick. Ken finished second with 77 and a quarter. And I'm lucky I got that 19. I really, really am.
Oh, yeah.
And I finished with 84 even. So that on a day like Saturday was, where the morning was promising, and then when the wind kicked up and the sun came out, this is why I was going to say earlier about the paddlers. I do not blame any member of MAKB that left early that was paddling.
Oh, yeah.
Because Quabog is a big place, and that wind got real brutal real quick. So here's where I want to veer off a little bit into gear.
Yep.
And this is in general, okay? Obviously, Three Bells was 100% awesome handling me with the kayak that I needed to get a hold of.
Yep.
I was also very specific about the model I wanted and what options I needed as a big guy needing the pedal, because I understand that in these tournaments, when you come to a bigger body of water, you're not the only one looking at maps. You're not the only one calling the local tackle store. You're not the only one looking at Google Earth. People are going to want to go fish the same places.
Yep.
Power's going to get there first. Pedal's going to get there second. Paddle is going to be left behind. And God forbid you have a canoe, because you're way off. Now, there are some ways to mitigate that. If you do your homework and find places that are very close to the launch, stick with someplace close. But what I really came to that understanding, this boat being in that Slayer with the Slayer Max Propel, with the pedal drive that I got from Three Bells, that did it. It would have taken me hours to get across that lake, or not an hour, but it would have taken me more than the 15 minutes or 10 minutes that it did with a pedal going almost 4 miles an hour.
You almost, if you are paddling, you're almost inviting yourself to where you have to put more in as far as preparation to get, and start at one point and work out. Like, I found this that works and it's easiest for me to get to. I'm going to start here so I can conserve my energy and, not waste all this time paddling all the way out to this one spot, and wasting all this time here. So it's, I mean, not to say that it can't be done. I mean, it can be done, but
no, it's just, it
hurts.
Speed wise, it really does. Speed wise, it is a disadvantage. And, I really I placed in plenty of tournaments without ever having a pedal kayak.
Yeah.
I did fine.
Oh yeah.
But there are times where
you have to take into account that, that I won't be the fastest boat to these spots that I might want to fish. So maybe I need to change my plan of attack to compensate for that.
And time comes into play too, because now if you're not as fast and you have literally a 45 or 30-minute paddle, that's gone from your day.
Yeah.
You're spotting everyone else that time. So like I said, having a paddle kayak will make you a better fisherman, because you're going to have to be more efficient with your time. Having a pedal kayak gives you more options.
Yeah.
So I can't tell everyone go buy a pedal kayak at 3 bells, obviously 3 bells, but I can't tell everybody to get a pedal kayak.
I can.
Not everyone can afford it. Yeah, well, you can, you know.
I can.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying. It just I'd say it helped. I mean, I like human power, so I don't think I ever want to take that next step to power.
Yep.
I like going out there and being able to burn calories and try not to be a giant fat ass. As everyone who was watching earlier, for all our patrons got to watch me eat the end of my Chipotle on the way home because I was on the water today. But yeah, the only other things for that tournament, man, that 19.5, that was my lunker.
That's
and,
huge.
That was a lunker for the tournament, and the lunker pickerel / pike, because there were a couple pike caught.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Figueroa caught a pickerel.
Yeah,
that was 23 1/4. So good for Ray.
It's a big fish. Nice job, Ray.
Nice job, Ray. Yeah, so I hope everyone had a good time. I know the weather did not cooperate. A lot of people left with some sunburnt legs. That was pretty rough to see. Nate and Nelson in particular, both of them were red. Nate was real bad. But yeah, I thought it was great. We had a great turnout. And then we went to Old Glory afterwards and had pizza and sodas and beer and chips and bullshitted about the day. It was fun. It was a wonderful way to not only kick off the season, but to kick off the division.
Yep.
And
definitely.
Really thank you to Joe. Thank you to Meg of Old Glory. Thank you to Ken for letting us open up the West. And thank him for being here. Thanks to John and Nate and Sean for all traveling out here, and Joe. And welcome all the Western folks that started off their tournaments with us. This was awesome.
Yeah, this was huge, man. This is like the coolest thing, you know, that like this is actually happening. We had a conversation like 10 months ago, how it would be so cool to have this happening in the western part of the state, you know, not having to go, and like, here we are, we're doing it. So, and that's huge. That's huge. So it's been a year. It's been an amazing year. It's been a year of, I mean, I went back and I listened a few weeks ago. I listened to the very first episode of this show, and I made a decision. I went back and I should say I re-listened to it. Re-listened to the very first episode of this show, and I think what I'm going to do is do like a sort of a year later, like a separate segment where I'll just kind of reflect on like the things that I've learned, the records that I've kept, the adjustments I've made, things like that to kind of, you know, figure out what's gone on in this year. There's some things that are very obvious, you know, I mean, the connection, and you guys will hear, I recently recorded with Andrew, Ken, and Wild Bill from Hookset Hoodlums, just the four of us going back and forth talking fishing and stuff, and we often kept going back to the same thing, how this community is amazing, and that's really at the core of it all. That's what we're really kind of all about. And that, like, you look at the way that network has grown from, you know, 3 Bells coming into the fold, and how all the like the stars kind of aligned, you know, like we had Ken on, and then we had Jason on, and you know, we kind of assumed, we're like, oh, well, maybe they mentioned something in 3 Bells and that's how they found us, and it was just like fate kind of brought everything together. So very, very cool. This is really, really fantastic. We've been covering Chronic Trips for a year, you know, I mean, essentially it'll be in June, it'll be a whole year that we've been covering the Chronic Trips tournaments, and that tournament has been flipped on its frickin' head, and there is one person that my hat is off to for that, Mr. Loaded Potato. Yep. Andy Quinn. Excellent job, my friend. It was a matter of time before this happened, but like now, this is truly a multi-species tournament. Like, it has to be won that way. He just checked every box, dude. It was amazing. Last week was amazing. So he came out of nowhere and just ran to first place and just kicked ass. I'm just bringing up the the standings right now, and I did not update them today. There were a few entries. Hell, even I put in one. But I mean, what happened last week? Teddy was winning, right? It looked like he had things pretty well in hand. Teddy's in third now. Teddy Forge is in the third now. This is like, I feel like Teddy single-handedly kept my head in the Chronic Trips game for this.
Yeah.
Single-handedly. Like, I can remember after doing that first tournament, and I was just like, man, that was a whole lot. I don't know, like, should we do this? Are people really into it? And then Seth shared this one email from young Teddy Forget. That was amazing. After reading that, I was like, of course we're going to keep, talking about this. Of course we're going to keep covering this tournament. You can't not. Oh, no. Gravy jumps in here. Eric Graves says he forgot to enter any of his fish from this weekend. Eric, I've been there, man. Not even forgot. Like, I left the catch board in the truck literally one day and then used fishing line just for my own, like, record keeping in my head. I caught a 15-inch smallie and I was just like, this is great. It just like melted, I'm like, this is no good. I can't enter in the tournament. So yeah, I wish I would have kept that piece of line, made a nice little plaque. Put it back up here for that 15.
Yep. So Andy just turned it on its head, man. Yeah. I am blown away again. I don't have today in there, but he's got 16 points where Teddy had, 17 last week. And that's the beauty of this point system is you go ahead and you top somebody. Not only are you getting points for yourself, but you're taking points from somebody else. It's just brutal. So, Andy's done a hell of a job.
Yes.
Mark has just been plugging away with trout and then any other species that he can yank out of his favorite fishing spot. So Mark's in second. He's got 14. Teddy, get back on the water, bro. You got competition now. Teddy's got 12. He's in third. I am in fourth with 9. And then Nelson's in fifth with 6. He is tied with Jerry Howes, who Jerry I hadn't seen in a couple years. Jerry was at the tournament too, and he came out afterwards. So glory, nice to see Jerry again.
That was awesome.
Yep. After Jerry, we got Nate Shagnon and Mr. Dodson and Brock Jenkins. And my personal favorite name of the tournament, I don't want everyone to do this, but this just happened. Whoever the hell Sticky Fred is, you're my favorite. You're my dark horse, boy. I don't know what your deal is, but you're awesome for naming yourself that. Those all 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So Shagnon, Dodson, Jenkins, and
Sticky Fred.
The stickiest Fred I know. All have 5 points. Laura Huard and Mitch Skase, lip gripper, they both have 4 points. Tim Jacks with 2. Austin Carlson, George Costa, and Todd Tremblay all have 1. As of this last night, it wasn't even last night. As of Friday night, I have not updated since Friday night. Now, This is a great little segue here because George Costa is only showing 1 point. All right. George has been the shining example in this tournament of learning.
Oh, yeah.
Right? This is his first tournament. He's learning ups. He's learning downs. He's actually learned a few more downs, which has sucked. I had to DQ one of his fish. It was, what the hell was it? It was, he had a monster pickerel, and he caught it at night.
That's right.
And, dude, every picture he took, unfortunately, had the lip gripper. You could not see the fish making contact with the bump. Yep. And I had to explain. I'm like, dude, you can't see how long this fish is. I can't judge it because I said, you probably do have it up against the lip. I'm not arguing with that. I can't see it. I need to verify that. And he was completely understanding about it. And his whole take on it was, no problem. I'll get another one.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
That's the best.
Great. So in contrast, and really to put a bow on what happened last week with the entrant that exited not so gracefully, shall we say. I'm going to be PC and polite about this. When I had called up because he had mentioned a couple things about past tournaments that he had been in that were run through Fish Donkey. And I guess this gentleman had a misunderstanding as to who was actually running said tournaments. Mm-hmm. Not Fish Donkey, and certainly not me.
Yep.
I do not run every tournament on Fish Donkey. Fish Donkey doesn't run any of the tournaments. They're just an app. So I called up Fish Donkey to get a little history to make sure or see what kind of judgments were going on in this previous tournament so I could see where this guy was coming from. And no, he was not lying. He was being judged that way in a very, very loosely run tournament through his college alma mater. And I was like, well, that sucks because this was obviously not a fishing organization. It wasn't an outdoors organization. This was somebody who's
there's some guys having some fun or something like that.
Yeah, they came across the app and they're using it. But when you have that perspective and then you jump into something like we're doing, even though again I say it's the beginner level, there's still rules and standards. Like, and on my part, the only reason I even got anywhere near upset with this was I sent him an example of how I wanted them, and that didn't happen. Yeah, and then things spiraled out of control from there. But we're good. He's out.
And that had nothing to do with you. That was all him. No. You know, just it is what it is. But you provided an ideal example. And I had gone even and made a post to get some feedback, and unanimous. Everybody was just like, there's no way you could accept those pictures. There's just no way. You cannot see the head of the fish.
And that was from... You couldn't see anything, but that was from all levels of competitive fishermen. Some not even competitive.
Yeah.
To really wrap this up, Bonnie had said something, and I called you immediately when I got off the phone with her because it was such a soundbite.
Yeah.
She had said, "I said, look, I'm going to mention you on the podcast. I want to use your exact words." And now I'm an old hippie, and it's been a week, so I forgot exactly what the words were. But the gist of it was, she said, tournaments like that are what give online tournaments a bad name.
Yep.
And I said, I understand completely because, you know, she even said, she's like, online tournament is as good as a director who runs it. Obviously, they were doing it for shits and grins and not a big deal. And, you know, we are doing it for fun, but as an entry level to serious tournaments, and we're all having fun with it. You know, there's a huge element of fun. I mean, this is a blast, dude. I number one, I cannot remember seeing. Did we ever have this many contestants in the year past?
25. We're at what, 25?
Yeah, I mean, there's
something like that?
People are pumping. Yeah, we're at. Hold on, I'll tell you the exact number. No, we're at 28 entries.
28. Damn.
Now, not everybody's turned fishing. 28 out of the 28 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people. Is that 13? Yeah.
Yep.
No, so a dozen people have not turned in fish. So 16 people have been pumping fish in.
Yep.
Like to the point where I've been like, I can't just jump on there every now and again. Like I have to do it like daily or every other day. Now this weekend was a little rough, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this has been crazy. The amount of big fish coming in. Like I thought that big pickerel I caught was worth a shit. It is not.
Nope.
No. Somebody cracked 20 with a bass already. I mean, It's been intense. It's been intense. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun. Just like George Costa has been the best example of this tournament. He knows it's a learning experience. He knows he's going to make mistakes, and he's just embracing each one and trying to get better every fish. And George, it's been a pleasure to deal with you honestly in every issue you've had. And it's been I really felt bad about DQing that pickerel. Like I felt awful.
Yeah.
So, well, but I mean. The rules are the rules, and
I feel like if you're running, if you're running a tournament and you're, following the rules that you set, and you're not running anything crazy or loose, you're always going to have people like George who are, responsive to your feedback of like, hey, this is what we're looking for, or this is what we need, and they're going to go and do that. So, and trust me, that type of response to any type of constructive criticism or anything is hugely appreciated, instead of like, getting a bunch of BS about like, oh, this is horseshit, man. Just take my word for it. It doesn't work that way.
I do this all the time. Yeah, I don't give a shit. You don't do it here.
Yeah.
All right, so that's laid to rest. Now let's continue on the down part of the podcast with what happened with you and social media.
So I have, it's no big secret. I try to engage our audience on Instagram quite regularly with memes and things that I find entertaining that are generally related to or relatable to fishing. And I had shared a reel recently that I had seen because, I'm old and don't understand how reels work. B_squared Bassin had put out this reel where it basically was riffing on bed fishing, and throwing that jig on beds to catch just absolute behemoth females. And I got a comment from somebody in there, and their comment was, I don't know. So then I responded just with some LOL emojis, like I do. And he says his follow up to that was, I mean, yeah, if you catch a big bass on a bed, you caught a big fish, but not really anything to brag about because you can literally see the fish and you don't really grind like you would just regularly bass fishing. And my follow up was again 3 LOL emojis, and then I said, doesn't mean it makes sight fishing any less fun. 100. Then I responded on top of that. I was like, if fishing is about proving something, then you should enter a tournament to do that. Otherwise, just enjoy fishing. It's not about. Let's just be honest here. Facts are facts. There are certain parts of the calendar year where your likelihood of catching the biggest bass of your life is more likely than others. And those points are pretty clear across the board. I mean, springtime is a major one. And if you're responsibly bed fishing, I know there are some people who think that bed fishing is an ethical issue, that it's, and I mean, let's be honest. I think anytime anybody is sight fishing and they catch a fish on a bed, they try to return it near to that area as soon as possible, because last thing you want to do is interrupt the spawn of potential other bass with great genetics. You know what I mean? Like, that's the last thing any of us want to do. But at the same time, I've heard the argument recently that, beds aren't just up shallow where you can see them.
They're deep.
Yeah, you'll find there are beds out deep. So the argument has been made out there that even if you don't think that you're bed fishing and you're just, fishing in your regular spots near this ledge or this drop off or this brush pile or something like that, there could be a bed right there and you could be bed fishing without even knowing it, completely unaware, just because it's not right there in front of you. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm like, when I hear somebody like that who's just like, yeah, but I'm going to somehow try to make your big fish less valid because, I caught it, you use this or you use Panoptics. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. Do I have to stab myself in an eye so I can say I was half blind in order to make you happy? I mean, come on.
This is 2 weeks in a row now where you and I have had to vent over people with communicating over media, right?
Yeah.
My suggestion is we just go ahead and make this a segment. We'll make a nice bumper for it. Be like, and now this week's segment of Fuck This Guy.
I'm not against that. I'm not against, and I actually think that the listeners kind of like this stuff because it puts us a little bit off our polished seat, that little spot where we're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And we get a little bit more fired up about these things. So, it's like people are entitled to their opinions, and I get that. That's fine. The other thing I do want to throw out there is I want to thank this Instagram user for the engagement they gave my post because it's blowing up. Thank you. So, it's part of the reason why I left the smiling emojis intentionally was to get a little bit more engagement. So I'm not an idiot here. I do know what's going on. But just crazy, man. Crazy. I love bed fishing. I love it. Like, it's one of the few times ever in nature someone of my lack of flexibility and stealth can stealthily sneak up to a bass that's up shallow that I can see. And this is the thing. A lot of people think that bed fishing is easy. I have sunk 20, 25 minutes into a bass trying to get them to bite, or trying to get them to go after my bait because they're not feeding at that point. They will pick up your jig and move it off the bed, and that's it. It's hard to get them to hook up. So, if anything, I would say that bed fishing is really an exercise in persistence.
Yeah, I've only been successful bed fishing once.
Yeah,
in my life, I never see beds. I'm always fishing such stained water. I never see it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's not part of my game.
Yep.
The only time I ever did that or had success was I was fishing ponds on a state park in Plymouth, and the water was so clear. I saw the beds, and we just happened to be there at the right time. And that wasn't even a trip out there. It was on the way home from the Cape. And I said, let's stop here and look at the place. And we just went out there real quick.
Yep.
And we saw them on their beds, and it was of varying depths. I mean, there were some that were as shallow as 2 feet.
Yep.
Others were down to like 8, 9 feet. You could barely see it, even though the water was relatively clear. But you think those are the ones where the big females are going to go to first. It's close, easy access to deep water. They're in, they're out.
Oh, yeah.
Those big fish don't like to be seen,
Yeah, they don't want to put themselves at risk.
Yeah,
You know?
even the ones that were feeding heavily for a pre-spawn in Saturday at Quabog, they were in the deepest water possible. They seemed to only flash in, grab a meal, and come back out to deep water.
Yep.
By my guess, I mean, I don't know. They weren't anywhere. They weren't in that shallow water where all the 7-inch bluegills and 10-inch bass were. So
Yeah. Sean, I just thought of something that we may want to bring up and discuss on the show. You had brought up birds recently and your experience with birds out on the water, specifically birds of prey. Why don't you go ahead and jump into that? Well, if anybody wants to comment and jump in here, I'm glad to include those on the screen, and we're glad to go over that. But yeah, something I just remembered. We had that brief conversation about that earlier this week.
Well, it started about 15 years ago at the dawn of my sobriety and taking fishing seriously. And there's a certain lake out on the Cape that I'll still go to once or twice a year. The bass in there, they do get big. It's a herring-fed lake. But if you have a good day on the water, and I mean a good numbers day where you're getting a lot of little fish,
Yep.
it is inevitable that you are going to catch multiple fish with punctures in their back
From talons.
from osprey talons.
Mm-hmm.
Those ospreys don't give a shit. They go after anything that moves in the water.
They're
Now-
the honey badgers of the sky.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're the best fishermen in the air. I actually, little known fact, my large back tattoo is of an osprey.
Yep.
Yes, I have a gigantic osprey tattooed on my back. That's how friendly I am with the ospreys. It's real good times when they drop out of the fucking sky at 70 miles an hour and hit the water about 10 feet from you.
Mm-hmm.
You'll shit yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why you gotta fish where there's birch nearby.
You gotta make sure you gotta do your research on Google Maps first to make sure there's a good clump of birch trees, just in case there's osprey nearby. But when you have water like that, now the weeds. Tips from Sean the Fisherman on bird watching. So when you have ospreys and you know, back in the 90s when I started fishing, we didn't have birds of prey like we do now. There were no hawks or falcons or anything. It was sad because they were still dealing with the effects of the DDT that was still legal.
Mm-hmm.
When did that get banned? In the 80s or early 90s?
I think it was the late 80s. I think it was late 80s, but
so it took them years to bounce back. Like when I was growing up, I never saw a blue heron in the Chicopee River. Never. And by late 90s, blue herons, the occasional osprey, the bald eagles were back.
Yep.
Hawks and falcons became commonplace. I mean, they're really common now. And now, I mean, that's 30 years. So, my theory with fishing and the ospreys is if you have a clear lake, if you have even like Quabog was moderately stained, but if you were in 3 feet of water, you could see the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I can see the bottom, I don't have an osprey's eyesight. They can see the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's why I went looking for deeper water. One of my passes over the deepest point of Quabog brought me to 5 feet, and I'm like, that's not even enough. I think the fish know. The big fish know to stay away from shallow water when there's ospreys around or during the spring or when there's no cover.
You got to find those deepest spots possible.
Or places with access to cover and deep spots. And the places that I found had both. And I think that, it's obvious. In my opinion, it made the difference. So
definitely. Nelson's jumping in here. He says he got the shit scared out of him yesterday when he went to shore to relieve himself. Oh, a turkey took off from across the water about 10 feet. Almost had to use a birch tree. That's awesome. Turkeys are a mess, man.
And of all of us, Nelson has had the on-the-job training.
It's true.
Of how to use a birch tree.
But
yeah, so that's something I always consider because like Nelson and I were talking about it, and you and I were too last week. I said, I've never seen so many ospreys this far inland.
Yeah.
I mean, there was at least 2 pairs of them if not 3 over Quabog and South Pond and all the associated ponds. Occasionally I see them at my house, but I've got the Connecticut River, so that's kind of
makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, but the herring aren't running yet, so yeah, it's the ospreys have rebounded incredibly from that DDT ban, and obviously so have the bald eagles. We have tons of bald eagles around here too. But I did see him at Quabog, and that was one of the decisions I made. I'm like, there's not enough weeds here for these fish to be comfortable. I've got to check the rivers. And then my second decision was made for me, at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning when a lot of people went to one little river. And I said, well, I got to go to the other one now. So whatever. There is one thing I do want to wrap up my weekend with.
What's that?
So as everybody who's been watching has been watching me hit mute and chew on stuff as you've been talking, I actually just got off the water. Before we started recording, grabbed some Chipotle and headed home. And I haven't been on my home river, the Chicopee River, in, I don't know, 3-4 years. And I really space out my trips now. So in the past 10 to 15 years, I've maybe been on it, I don't know, 4 times, maybe 5. The public access is gone. It's really difficult to get in there. And I used the one public access today and got in there and just took the pedal kayak out for a ride. That river's down a lot too. So it was a lot. I mean, today was just a huge trip down memory lane for me. I was just, reeling in the years, man. I was just going through stuff. I'm like, I remember when me and the dude Bud did this here, or me and so-and-so caught this fish here. And it was exciting. And then to see all the changes, like, wow, there's a new tree that dropped here and another one got washed away at some point in the past. So like, it was neat, and I did manage to find fish. I actually had a hell of a day. I caught 2 pickerel, half a dozen crappie, and that's 8, and then a dozen bass. So nothing was big, but they were biting, and they were biting floating rapalas in a couple little areas, little shallow, warm areas. And today was the day I mentioned it last week. I found 1 degree of difference in 3 places, and all 3 places where I caught fish. Nowhere else turned up fish, just at 1 degree. Everywhere I found, it was warm, but everywhere I found at everywhere was either 57 or 58. Where I found 58, that's where I caught fish.
You got bites? No kidding.
Yep. Huh. But I had called you, to say, hey, I'm on my way home, and I'm like, you're going to love this, and I'm going to utter this statement for all the world to hear, because you don't hear this statement ever. I had a banner day for topwater crappie. Digest that. I caught half a dozen crappie on topwater lures. And the best part was number 7 jumped out of the water completely motionless like this, like a U shape, and just splashed back into the water, completely missing by about, 3 inches, 4 inches, just completely missed the lure. And I swear to God, I heard him on the way down go, derp.
Nice.
He said that.
Nice.
He said it. I heard it.
It's funny because
that's what happened.
Paul had messaged me, I think about like an hour or so before you had called me, and it had mentioned this, and he was out. I forget where he said he went. He went out with one of his daughters, and she's been really into like casting and just really trying to get into it. And they went out and not a single nibble, nothing at all. And then I don't know. He said she decided to throw a frog, and twice I guess there were some blow-ups on there. And I mean, who's to say, when you have a blow-up like that, who's to say, unless you get a really good look of exactly what it is. Was it a bass? Was it something else? Who knows? It could have been a crappie, I'm thinking it was obviousy a crappie. It could have been a crappie today. Yeah. I mean, maybe that was a pattern. Maybe today was just a topwater thing, and that's what they're all about. I can't remember.
The biggest thing from today, I immediately after I got off the water, the first person I called was the dude Bud.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I spent so much time, my whole high school 4 years was spending time on the river with him.
Yep.
Like we just fished. We lived close to each other. He had a canoe, and we just hauled that thing up and down a hill, and they got called names by his father. That's what we did.
Of course. Yeah.
And I said to him, I don't know if it worked, but it's supposed to. When I called him, I said, we were born 20 years too early. I said, with the wind blowing with the current, how long, I gave him 2 points on the river, and I said, how long do you think it would have taken us in that old canoe of yours to get to and from that point? And he started laughing. He said, 45 minutes, if not an hour. I said, I did it in 10 to 15 in the pedal kayak.
Crazy,
I went,
right?
and I wasn't breaking a sweat. I'm just like, all right, this is just rolling. Holy shit. Yeah, this weekend was eye-opening for using that kayak.
That's awesome.
I do have to get in touch with Three Bells. Did I tell you? I think I've been discussing with you the issues I had with the rack I built for it.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
So I'm basically going to build a smaller rack that with the wheels should act as like a large weight supporting, shall we say, immobile kickstand.
Yeah.
No, I think that's the way to do it, you know?
Yeah, too bad lumber prices are through the roof, and I'm going to pay more for that than the kayak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is pretty bad. It really is pretty rough. You'll come across something. You find something, you know, you just got to repurpose, you know?
I know.
You'll find something
I have
to repurpose.
I have a few
You know who's the guy to talk to about that?
Who?
Nelson.
I know.
Repurpose.
Fucking MacGyver.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, so he's a man. Find something. Oh, good stuff, guys. Anyway, I think I want to take a quick look at our notes here, right here, and see if I think we nailed everything.
I lost mine, so you're in charge.
Yeah,
I'm normally the note guy. When I lost the internet, the notes went to the void and never came back with me.
Well, we got
they went to the light.
We mentioned the fishing beds douche. We talked about all the tourneys. We talked about Bonnie's amazing quote, George Costa being an example, Nibblers at the Chicopee River, the rack and wheels, and of course the happy anniversary stuff. And then we did mention Canute. So I think that about does it, man. This is a good show, you know. Just before we jump into our interview segment, we have for the first time actually we have a repeat guest that's going to be on the show, and it is Delirious Angler. And I want to mention Delirious posted a link. He's got I haven't seen his video yet. I recommend everybody go and follow this man's YouTube page. Check it out, because the vision that he has for this stands to be some of the most innovative and interesting and fun YouTube fishing content I've ever heard anybody speak of. So I would highly recommend go track him down on, if you follow him on Instagram, his link is right there in his bio. You can check it out there. But he posted a video. I want to check that out. We have a great conversation, kind of walk down memory lane and talk about, you know, some good stuff that's happened out on the water. And, you know, you want to talk about getting excited for tournaments. He is all about it. And I know you and him have some fishing coming up soon. So that's huge.
We have a date.
You have a date. Awesome.
He was very excited because one of the places that I want to make sure I venture to during this week of extremely intense fishing is Spookyville that we've mentioned, the place that kind of creeps me out, and he's just been dying to get up there. Yeah. So who am I to deny Delirious Spookyville? So we're gonna head up there this early this week. We have our date set.
Yep, he's going to have the. I don't know if he's bringing the which Old Town topwater. If he's bringing the 10 or the 12, but he's definitely going to have his proton pack ready to go, and all that stuff. So
yeah, he did ask about the conditions, the launch conditions, and I said a trailer probably won't cut it there. So he looks like he's going to be he's going to be loading up a pedal kayak into the bed of his truck, and off we go.
Nice.
So this may be the last podcast you hear of me for any number of reasons, possibly him too.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Yeah. I mean, you know, I mean, with him up there, I'm more concerned of anything else you might run into, you know. Have you seen he's been out fishing with the one contact in? Have you seen this?
I have. Yeah, he's been doing that stuff.
It's kind of crazy. Oh, good stuff. It is. It's kind of crazy.
Well, it'd be funnier or crazier if he kept like bumping into stuff on one side because he can't see so good.
Ow. Just always had like a constant bruise like right here.
Why is your left eye one color and the whole left side or the whole right side of your face another color?
Exactly. Bruised. Awful, guys. All right, well, we're going to take a short break. We're going to hear from our good friends over at Three Bells Outfitters. I mean, you know, it's a Sunday night recording, guys, but I think that this is going to be a damn good show. So stick around for that. We got Delirious Angler coming up afterwards. We'll be right back with that, and then we'll wrap it all up with a bow at the very end for you, all right? We'll see you in a bit. Jigs and Bigs is proud to announce that we're being supported by Three Bells Outfitters. Located in Smith Cove on the Niantic River, TBO is Connecticut's premier paddle sports retailer. They're a full-service shop specializing in kayaks and paddleboards for everything from recreation to tournament fishing. Three Bells is an authorized dealer of Hobie, Jackson, Feel Free, Native, and Bonafide kayaks, as well as many paddleboard brands. Not sure of what kind of SUP or kayak you want? TBO offers free demos of all brands. Want to go for an extended test drive? They have a full-service rental facility on site. Three Bells also offers a complete rigging service for your kayak with such brands as Yak Attack, Yak Gear, Burley Pro, Yak Power, Torpedo, and more. The sky is the limit. You can visit Three Bells Outfitters in person or online at threebellsoutfitters.com. They ship anywhere in the lower 48 states or order online and pick up at the store. Can't make it to the store to pick up your kayak or worried the freight company might damage your purchase? Three Bells Outfitters offers a white glove delivery of kayaks within a 225-mile radius of their store at a rate less than typical freight carriers. They will deliver your kayak, set it up, and answer any questions you may have. Be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to tell them Jigs and Bigs sent you. Three Bells Outfitters, because life is better on the water. Alrighty, guys, Bobby Roast Beef here. It is our interview segment this week. We have a guest that you're 100% familiar with. You better be familiar with. He's been on the show a number of times. He's been on the live streams with us multiple times. It's Delirious Angler. He's back. And he's looking forward to a major 2021 season. And I think we all are. I think that's a given. Delirious, how you doing, dude?
What's up, buddy?
Oh, we're hanging out here doing our thing. We're, putting together some podcast entertainment for the masses. You're getting ready for a good year. I know you got a new kayak, huh?
Oh, man, I definitely need a good year. I definitely got a new kayak.
That's awesome.
I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to just go to work every day and then punch out and go fishing every sunny day.
That's huge, man. So you've had some stuff since the last time you were on the show. I don't think you were in Hooks at Hoodlum's pro staff at that point.
No. It was
so that's God.
It was, like months later.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. I think you were on the show sometime over the summer. When was your episode? I think it might have been sometime over the summer, and then I think we did the bomb challenge, and just from like that, everything just started like ramping up, and like now you got a bunch of stuff going on, man. You got some new stickers, new logos.
It was the podcast with you.
Yep.
Then we went fishing a week later. I want to say.
Oh yeah.
And then I met up with Wild Bill and Andrew at a place in Colchester, which the pond sucked.
Yeah.
Then we did the bomb fishing challenge. And then I think it was after that when I became a Hooks at Hoodlum.
I have a bottle of the bomb in front on my desk somewhere.
Yeah, you can keep that stuff to yourself.
Like, it's funny because I just had recorded a segment with Joel, and he and I were talking about it before, and I mentioned to him, I was like, you were one of the ones that was doing a little bit better with this than anybody else, and I think the same thing with you when you ate the bomb as well. It's like it knocked you on your ass, but I think for you after you left where we were fishing, you bounced right back, and we came up with a little conclusion that I think, driving around on those back roads and then getting on the highway and on ramps and off ramps,
it killed you guys.
It shook things up, and I was in Norwich, man, on Route 2, and
in my defense, I offered you all to freaking stop at my place at the insane asylum and just chill out and then go.
Should have done that. That was a big mistake. I think I really do, because it was a close call for me, and it was bad for Wild Bill. So,
he has his reasons why it was bad.
True, that's true. That's true. He kind of had the deck was stacked against him in a way.
He kind of showed up late, like, oh, guys,
That was amazing. That was amazing. Speaking of Wild Bill, I got to tell you, like, today he posted some, and granted, people that listen to this podcast realize that when I say today, I don't mean right now, because we've recorded this, a few weeks in advance. And, but at the time of us recording this, he had the competition for that belt between the OG trio of Hookset Hoodlums is heating up as we get into this spring season. So they have a challenge that goes on within a specific window of time every single year, and it gets intense. And there was a video that Bill had posted where there was some ripping of shirts. There was, I mean, it got intense. It got really intense. In fact, I'm gonna try and play a little bit of audio from that if I can. I'm gonna go ahead and play that right now. I want to make sure my volume is up on my phone. There we go. Here we go.
You silly son of a bitches. You think you got something for me? All I hear is Ken's gonna do this. Andrew's gonna do this. Ken said this. Andrew said this. Well, Wild Bill says I just whooped your ass.
That's the shirt getting ripped.
Last SOB in the business. I'll drop you on that stack of dimes you call a neck. Cause Wild Bill said so. And that's the bottom line.
You can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
All right. I wasn't sure if I hit my mic button. So I wanted to message him and be like, you kind of messed it up because you're supposed to say that's the bottom line because Wild Bill
said so, yeah, but
not Wild Bill because that's what I said so. But I mean, honestly, it was pure gold.
I think it was gold. The fact that he rips the shirt off and he's wearing the belt. He's just
he's such a character.
This little family that we've put together here is just like it's everything. I love it. I live for it.
And if I'm not mistaken, buddy, I think it's anybody in the Hookset Hoodlums is capable to go after that belt.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
if I'm not
interesting.
Mistaken. Because I told Andrew a few times that he better hold on to that belt tight because I'm coming.
You're coming for it? Okay.
And they didn't say, hey, it's not, anybody. It's just us three. It's because it says Hookset Hoodlums on the belt.
That's true, man. So
I'm under the impression if you're a member that it's fair game.
Well, I mean, this could go anywhere. It could go to California. It could go to.
Yep.
We've got. I mean, they're like this family reaches, and they're just days away from dropping another 10 members, which I'm told I know like every single one of them. So I'm very excited about this. I think
this ought to be fun.
Yeah. Do you have any inside information about who we should be looking at?
No.
Yeah, I got nothing, man. I'm kind of like, what is going on?
Well, also, I am the black sheep of the whole family, so let's be honest.
That's true.
Bill's still afraid of me, so and Ken's just like he doesn't want to ask me questions because he's afraid for his life.
Well, let's be honest here, Delirious. There's a certain mystique about you.
Oh, thank you.
There's a certain mystique. Now, we had an episode a little while back that was about goals. Let's talk about Delirious's goals. What are your goals for this year? What do you want to get on?
Oh, man, I want to catch another PB this year. I got to.
Yeah.
That 5, I think I caught like a 5.5 it's pretty, but I think I need to at least bump it up a little bit more.
Yeah, you can bump that number up a tad.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's plenty of ponds where I could do it. Just gotta make it happen. I do want to take a trip this year. I gotta take a trip out of state.
Yeah. Oh,
but
definitely.
With the whole Corona thing still going on, that's sending a lot of red flags for like where I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know Vermont is still locked down like crazy. Like they really don't want outsiders there at all.
Yeah.
So that is usually my therapeutic place where I like to go and unwind my mind, but that's kind of out of the question. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, you got a nice pedal kayak though, man. You can hit up some pretty good bodies of water. Like you can get into the New York side and fish Champlain if you wanted to. You can,
heck yeah.
You could probably sneak into Winnipesaukee with no problem.
I mean, I could make a nice 2-hour ride to Candlewood here in Connecticut.
That's true.
Where it's loaded with like 5-pound smallies.
Yep.
So
that's never a bad thing.
No.
Yeah.
But with other things going on this year, we'll find out because I'm back in tournament mode.
Yep, which is huge, man. That's great.
Oh yeah, back with Slay Nation for Division 2.
Nice.
Damien's my partner, but he's also the director of Division 2, so it's gonna be golden. I think Wild Bill's joining the trail too.
Yeah, he is.
Be hilarious.
I'm excited to see how this plays out. I really am, and it's like, I think I look up to those anglers that are like putting their, quite literally putting their money where their mouth is and entering tournaments and competing and getting on it like that. I think that's hugely commendable. Like, I'm not ready to jump in at a major dedicated level until I kind of develop some of my own skills. But I think this is going to be a big year for me, but more in technique than, PBs or anything like that. Like, I want to break that 19 and a 3/4 mark. And I'd love to make this the year that I plunk down some money on a beautiful replica. That's really kind of always where my goal is.
To have that hanging up in your right behind you.
The Disco Dungeon. Yeah.
Dude, I know.
Just that's what my goal is. I want to have to invest in like a fisheye camera lens so that I can get all these beautiful replicas, all in there. So
I love it, man.
Someday I'm hoping that we're going to have our own Jigs and Big studio, like a studio space and like a workshop where we can do stuff with tackle and, prep boats.
Have the kayak sitting there.
Yeah, but it's all about finding the right secure kind of place to go do that and set it up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some work on my end. I have to go and ensure is in place before I can do that. But man, that's crazy. So yeah, 2021 is going to be a big year for everybody. I know, like,
Dude. Yeah. I mean, we have. Well, I say we because my multiple personalities.
Yeah. I hear you. So even when you're solo, it's like a team tournament.
Dude, I argue with myself.
No.
There's arguing with yourself, but then there's me arguing with myself with different voices. So
that's fair. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, who do you want to listen to today? It's like, come on now. But yeah, like back to the logo thing you mentioned earlier, bringing that up. That thing's evolved since I started. Like next month, I'll be doing this for 4 years.
That's huge, man. And consistency is where it's at. Like that logo, and like you've got some large, like you've got those large decals now for your boat and stuff.
I got the 10-inch ones. I got 8-inch one on the kayak trailer. 2 6-inch ones on both kayaks now.
There's one thing that I will say for this. There's a lot of people that are in the fishing community, and like, you kind of get right in there from both ends of it, because on the one hand you have a lot of people that are content creators, and then you have tournament anglers, like super serious, and then like in the middle there you have like the weekend warriors like myself that go out and fun fish, and they maybe fish seriously. But the thing is what's great about what you have going on is that you do the tournament scene and you're always evolving there, but you've got a great brand. And you really like know how to work that. Every single, pretty much almost every single guest that I've talked to and I've mentioned you to, they know, they're familiar with your page, they're familiar with your logo, they're familiar with what you do. Like, that's really, really huge.
Thanks, buddy.
So as far as content, is there anything that you have in mind that you're, expanding toward?
Well, let's cover the logo real quick.
Okay.
So that logo went from just a hand drawing to an actual graphic logo now, which is awesome. To the point where I evolved it from the circle to just a die cut. But now I'm trying to, and if any of your listeners are graphic designers, could want to hit me up and help me out.
Yeah.
I want to take the blue mask on the bass. I want to fix the whole mask up, put a red clown nose on it. Some clown facial features like his makeup and stuff, and put red spots of blood on the fish.
Oh, there you go.
I want to make the lunatic bass more crazy. So if any of your listeners are out there listening to this, hit up a Psycho and let's talk business.
And they're good. Yeah. If you're graphically inclined, hit up Delirious.
I can draw. I can't. I hate computers. And, like even my one I'm talking to you on, it's too fancy for me.
I hear you.
It's like, oh, enter your password. Where do I enter? Oh, scan your finger.
Oh yeah, I just got one of those. I had to upgrade the laptop for the podcast, and I bought a custom machine, and I've never had one of these fingerprint
it's
scanners.
so
I'm
weird,
like,
man.
really, man? It's like some government issue shit. It's weird.
Yeah,
Not
it's
expecting
like,
that.
I don't want you to have my fingerprints.
I had to turn the power on, give a urine sample. I needed to fill out these forms in triplicate. I was all kinds of irritated. I was verklempt. Let's be honest. I was verklempt.
So, besides the logo, I was actually talking to you, Bill, Damien, and Sean about a project.
Yep.
I mean, I'll just tell people right now listening, I was considering showing my face this year.
Oh, okay.
Doing a whole Jekyll and Hyde style thing
Yep.
where Hyde would be Delirious, and when the mask was off, I'd be Jekyll.
Gotcha.
Just so everybody knows, I recorded the video, I edited the video, I watched the video, I hated the video, I hated the feeling it gave me when I took off the mask.
Yep.
So everybody listening, the mask is staying.
Mask is staying.
If you want to know what I look like, then you got to fish with me and become part of our secret little 1%ers.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, and you know, you had mentioned that you were toying around with the idea of doing that, and I mean, I completely understand why. Like, it's definitely a cool concept. But it's like, that's the thing with something like that. It's like, you've got a great brand. If you let that go.
It'll just be like, I mean, on the benefits of doing it, like, honestly, I thought about it. Benefits of doing it, it'd be less stress when people message me, oh, I want to know what you look like. Oh, I want to fish. I want to see what you look like before I fish with you, just in case I should be worried.
Exactly.
And then, like, stuff like that. Like, I know a lot of people kid around. Like, I know Wild Bill was kidding around when he said, like, he was terrified of me and afraid of me. But at the same time, a part of me was like, dude, that's kind of like what people are leading on to. It's like, I'm just going to like hurt them because they don't know who I am.
Exactly.
But it's funny because like I'll fish with all these guys and at the end they'll message me like, yeah, dude, you're not like that at all. It's like, no. I mean, I am like that, but I'm not going to straight up like want to murder you.
Yeah, exactly.
Your body down the river. It's like, no, nothing like that. I just like having fun and exploring a different twisted content than what we're all used to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing. A lot of people, they sometimes they look into a brand and they almost take it a little bit too seriously. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
But
I mean, if I was taking pictures and posting them up with like a knife in my hand in one hand and a fish in the other, yeah, I'd be fucking terrified.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm holding a fish with a giant smile grin on my face. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. No, I get it. I totally get it. But I think that's a smart move on your part because it's like right now that mystique is part of your brand, and if you let that go, like it's one of those things where from my standpoint anyway, like you've got to plan that so far in advance.
Oh, you do.
At every single twist and turn, and then make it work for you the best way possible. You know, and then and then make it happen that way. But like that's the thing. You've got great content already. Your pictures are dynamite. You know, I don't know what you're using for filters or effects or editing or anything.
Too many editing apps. Let's just say that. Too many.
I've fallen into that too. We updated the artwork for the podcast. And I'm like, I got a process now, and I know now I'm starting to really feel like what it's like for those content creators. Like there's a process. So it's crazy.
Like, man. I think I take it past some of these content creators too. Like, like people, like they'll just like nothing against it because I do it once, like here and there too. Yeah, where you just post up a regular photo. All right, you're gonna add a simple filter or whatever. But mine, like if you dive deep in mine, I'm taking mine, turning them into like a cartoony style.
Yeah, it's a real signature vibe, you know. Yeah,
and then if I'll either animate the photo where it looks like the water's moving in the background with the sky, or black and whiting the whole grayscale of the photo and just outlining the fish in my mask in full color. So it's like, and then you have to crop the photo to fit the stupid Instagram box for the pictures because it doesn't accept full size, which is annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like literally, I think one photo could take me almost over an hour and a half just to edit one.
Really?
And it's yes, just to get like full detailed on how I like it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that makes sense, man. It is like a lot.
Like I enjoy it. Like I'll if I have nothing going on for a day, I'll just sit there with like music playing and I'll bang out like 10 photos. So this way they're ready to go. I can post them up the next day, like one and then another. This way I'm not like, all right, I gotta post up a photo. What am I doing? Oh, okay, let me edit this. Oh, there goes an hour out of my time that I could have been fishing or doing something else.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, gotta have that backup of backups.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh. So I mean, yeah, it's good. And then on top of that, deciding that, let me show my face, and now I'm not going to because it just doesn't sit right in my stomach, especially going on 4 years of being the mass angler. We got a special announcement to make.
Yeah. We'll fire away.
I don't think people are ready for this. I don't think you're ready for this. We talked about it, but I don't think you're ready for this.
I'm probably not ready for it, but I think that I'm a big fan of, like, you need to just jump in and give it a go. So hit us with it.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? You're hearing the words from the psychotic one, the mass lunatic, the dysfunctional one, he should be in a mental house, delirious angler. And I have a special announcement for you. So put on your helmets and buckle up nice and tight because it's about to get crazy this year. 2021. There will be a Delirious Angler YouTube channel.
Yes.
You heard that right, my friends. Your ears are not playing tricks on you. You are not hearing voices in your head like me on a regular basis. There will be a Delirious Angler YouTube channel dropping this year, 2021. Be ready for minimum editing because if I edit too much out, it will not be crazy.
True.
So, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. It's going to get crazy this year. We're going to have fun. This is fishing mixed with insanity, and I am Delirious Angler, and be on the lookout for the YouTube channel.
I love it, dude. I love it, man. I love it. That's great. So, you heard it here first, guys. Delirious Angler. He's changing up platforms and he's going over to a video format, which is huge,
Which is funny because I also started a TikTok.
Yeah, how's that going for you, man?
Well, to be honest, so far, most of the videos I posted were videos I had saved up on my phone that I never really posted.
Gotcha.
So, but TikTok, I noticed now I'm like learning into it more because I like to dive deep in these apps. You can like slow down your video and stuff. So like on some of mine, like when I'm holding up the fish, I'm putting it in slow motion so you can see the glory of that beautiful fish.
Yep.
And I think 2 or 3 videos are actually brand new, just showing the boat because I'm so proud of how that freaking thing came out.
It came out awesome, man. It looks great. Like fully custom build.
Dude, I added trim pieces on it and everything. It's freaking beautiful now.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
So we will be going out on that now that I also have a Massachusetts fishing license as well.
Hell yeah.
So now no
more riding dirty in Mass. I love it.
I mean, it's me, so you kind of expect me to be doing whatever I want, but try to be more legit. But I mean, it's TikTok's fun now that season's actually starting up for me.
Yeah,
I'm going to be more into it.
Yeah, because you started with TikTok, and was it the fall or were we into winter?
Winter I started it.
Yeah, that's tough. Like if you're a fishing content creator and you're in New England and you're not doing the ice thing.
Yeah. That's why it's all old videos. Yeah,
so like when you started to say that, I was thinking, I'm like, did he start that? I thought it was like late fall or winter, and if that's the case, like that's a huge challenge. So, but I'll be honest with you, man. Like TikTok, and even to some extent, like Instagram Reels, I've come up with some stuff, but man, my hat is off to those creators that are out there like really just like killing it.
Hustling.
Like. It's
crazy.
I definitely subscribe to this school of, find your platform And the one that you're best at, make sure that you work the hell out of that one. And then, you know, because it's like you'll burn yourself out if you're on every single platform. But it's like, you know, I've got a couple of TikToks out there, and honestly, some of the best content that I've had actually has come from the community. Like, was it? I don't know if it was Ken or if it was Bill that had sent me. The one of them was looking for some artwork for something, and they did a search on Google for Dink Bass transparent background. Was the search. and so they're going through Google looking at these images, and there's a picture of me holding a little nibbler doing my freaking, you know, hey, I caught a fish face, you know.
That's so cool.
And there's a picture of me on there, like, you know, probably like 10 images down or something like that, but on the front page. And he's like, sends it to me. He's like, you're going to die. He's like, look at this. So I was able to turn that around to a TikTok using just like different images and still frames with a couple of creative GIFs on top of it and some music. And it worked. But I'm like, this is like a full-time job, man. To like come
It really is.
It's like really, I see people that are out there doing it. What's the kid's name from Alabama? Larry. Oh, what is his name? He's on YouTube as well, but he is all over TikTok. All over it, and his stuff is just killer, absolutely killer.
Well, a lot of the times now is like with these younger kids, and I'm not trying to say like I'm old as hell. I mean, my age is still measured to a lot of people.
Yeah, the younger kids, I can only assume that I have a few years. I probably have like a decade to 15 years on you, I'm guessing. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
I'd say about 10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
A little bit, 12, 13 years, something like that. But like a lot of these newer anglers, man, they're killing it with TikTok because that's their platform. It's made for them.
Yeah, they understand it. It makes a lot more sense, I think.
Where if Instagram does like a simple, you know, like we updated our terms and policies, we're like freaking out, like, oh my god, I have to relearn this whole thing. It took me so long to relearn it in the beginning. It's like no.
Well, it's funny you say that. There was I forget where it was or where I initially found it, but I found a post on Instagram about the Instagram algorithm and basically like, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, oh, I really love this creator and I'm sharing all their stuff or not even I'm sharing, I'm liking everything that they put out. But likes are like the smallest increment of assists that you can put out there. Like the saving feature is has the most impact on helping a post get a larger audience.
Oh yeah.
And most people never use that feature, that little tiny like ribbon icon.
It's hidden.
Yeah, it's hidden
pretty much.
And it's on the exact opposite side of each post on your timeline.
Where your thumb's like, it's not used to going over there.
Yeah, but if you just and the thing is it doesn't, you know, really affect anything saving all this stuff, but I've taken to a point now where I'm like, these are pages that I see and, you know, creators that I want to support, so I hit that save for those, and then I've been sharing them to my story, because one thing that I've noticed is like on the Jigs and Bigs Instagram, our story has gotten so much more visibility than even some of our other posts, you know, anything sponsored posts aside, you know, because like I think I don't think we could have gotten the growth that we got here without sponsoring some of our posts.
Oh yeah,
and getting ourselves in front of people. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was like, you know, it takes really way more effort, but it does take a little bit of money. You know, you gotta be willing to do that. But
and the algorithm on Instagram changes like every month.
Is it that often? I can only imagine.
Well,
that.
it's so often that like as soon as you get it like down packed, like I won't lie to you, and in the fall, of last year, my audience was higher, my post likings were higher, everything was higher, and then all of a sudden it's like everything dropped. Like lately it dropped again, and now it's picking up.
Yeah.
So it's like you pay attention to the algorithm, and once you get it down to a science, as soon as you get down to a science, the next day it's like, watch this.
The one thing that I have figured out, or at least in my opinion, is that engaging, like really engaging and having, you know, by you engaging with other accounts and you reaching outside of your circle and, you know, commenting and saving or sharing, I feel like that all kind of helps, because I feel like at the core, all the social media algorithms out there, really what they want to do is they want you to use their product. They want you to be engaging so that way it's always going around. So, I mean, it is a lot. And like, I wish we were at the point where we could bring somebody on that would just run our social media. But like we're, I mean, as it is, as a podcast, it's we don't make a damn thing near what we would in order to be able to bring on that kind of help.
You would literally need to find someone who just wants to do it for pure enjoyment.
Yeah, and that
believes in. I mean, I actually, what was it? In the wintertime, well, I mean, actually, no, it's spring now. For I think the whole month of January or February, because I was so busy with work.
Yeah.
I actually had one of my buddies take over my account for me.
Oh, for real? Really?
Yep. I was like, dude, I'm too exhausted from work that I can't keep up with trying to comment on people's stuff, interact with people and have conversations, like only for like commenting photos and stuff. And if someone messaged me, he would let me know they messaged me and I'd go on my phone and answer the messages.
Yeah.
But they would do the commenting, they would do the posting for me just because I was too tired from work.
Yeah.
I mean, I was working crazy hours in the winter, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's for you especially. Like you get a couple of good snowstorms or something, and
Oh yeah.
winter shit.
If your listeners are probably like, "What do you mean?" Yeah. For his listeners, I plow snow in a truck on roads.
Yep.
You should be scared.
A half asleep, coffee guzzling Delirious.
Well, we're talking about it today when we went out.
Yep.
The last big one snowstorm, we got called in. God, the day prior because it was snowing all night.
Yep.
Into the next day, they finally tell us to go home at 3:30. Get home. I'm finished doing whatever I'm doing. About to fall asleep at 9:00 at night. And then we get called back in and work from 9 at night to 3:30 in the morning. And I should have pulled over and fell asleep instead of pulling over and just walking around my truck. I should have pulled over and just took a quick 20-minute nap because it got scary.
Yeah.
I was actually afraid for my life.
Yeah.
So
It is, man. What did we do this last year? We went to go get our puppy. We drove a couple of idiots, my wife and I. Oh my God. See, you appreciate this because you're as much of a dog person as I am.
Oh man, I hate people. I love dogs.
Love dogs. Yeah, exactly. And so my wife and I, we got another Boston Terrier. And this little son of a bitch, my God, she's adorable. She's gray and white, and she was the runt, and she was like pretty underdeveloped. Like when we got her, I mean, she was probably like what? I don't know how many weeks old she was, but she was old enough for us to take her, like on paper,
Yeah.
But she was so small. She was only like 3.5 pounds, like super tiny, eating the tiniest little amounts of food. And, we got her back here and, all was good. But when we made that trip, we were just idiots. We all the way to Ohio, like 15 hours straight. We stayed one night in a hotel. We got up at the ass crack of dawn and checked out, went and got the pup, and then drove all the way back to Western Mass.
Oh.
And it was hell. I told my wife, I was like, we're staying in like East Cupcake, Ohio. Like there's nothing to do here, but I'm like, we really should have stayed another night and just like relaxed and hung out in the room, just, decompressed, whatever, and then hit the road and come back afterwards. I was like, because that ride back was absolutely brutal.
Oh, it always is.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
I mean, and when I'm plowing like roads and stuff, man, it's like, yeah, we could be out there for like 10 hours and people are like, oh, I could drive 10 hours, no problem. It's like, no, you got to realize that you're going on the same roads repeatedly.
Well,
and it's like you're watching snow fall, which is already messing up your eyes. You're just like,
hypnotizing you as it is. What's funny though? Like this does kind of relate to like tournament anglers. Like you look at these tournament anglers, especially when they start, placing further along in the food chain. When they're playing like, they're competing in higher end tournaments working toward a championship. At that point, you're traveling sometimes crazy parts of the country. And let's be honest, you're driving, because
you are.
You've got, you've got your trailer that's got your kayak. I mean, if you're doing a big boat tournament, you're definitely driving, I mean,
you're not.
Some of these guys might have the luxury of saying, oh, I'm doing a tournament in another state, and I know somebody who has this boat, like I'm just going to use their boat, or they'll do a rental or something like that. But like if you're using your gear and you're hitting the road and you're doing some stuff like the EKF stuff, I mean, most of that is within a reasonable drive, but that'll give you that that experience of like being on the road. So, you've got to be safe, because if you're a tournament angler and you're out there competing, and, I've never even really looked into it, but like, what do you hire, drivers?
I think at that point you just bring along some of your good friends.
I would think
that can help you drive.
Yep.
So this way you can all take shifts.
Yeah. Because it's a lot, I mean, there's a lot on the line, and when you've invested so much, the last thing you want to do.
It's like those big boat guys. I've been seeing them lately where they'll actually get those more the campers that fit in the bed of a truck.
The fifth wheel.
Well, not the fifth wheel. It's just it's like a camper
about.
Cat, pretty much.
Yeah. Where you
like
just
they'll
basically
use
convert.
that.
Yeah.
And but for the kayak guys, like it's more being seen now where they'll have all the gear in the bed of the truck, and they'll have a modified kayak with that overlanding tent that sits on top of it.
Yeah, I've seen that. I think
they can
Chad
just
Hoover
pull
has
off.
one of those. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can just pull off wherever they want and set it up and take a quick nap.
Yeah.
Which is smart.
It is smart. It definitely is.
I almost bought one, but then I realized I was like, oh, it's 140 pounds, which means if I'm not using it, then that's 140 pounds I got to take off. And then it's big and bulky, and I got to store it somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to stick to a $40 tent.
Yeah, there you go, and make it work. But yeah, you think about it and you're just like, wow, some of the travel that these guys do, it's crazy,
insane, man.
All over the place. What is it? Who is it? Christine Fisher is from the Midwest somewhere. And she was in Kissimmee. It's like she was definitely in her boat. I would assume so. At that level, like I would want to be in my own kayak. You know what I'm saying?
I love my kayaks, even though I got the boat finished. I just I am excited to use the new kayak this year. It's so
well, and let's talk about that new kayak, because you did something really smart. I think like you put you got basically the same model kayak that you were using for tournaments.
I got its younger brother.
Yeah, you downsized so that you could pond hop. I think that's genius.
I had
younger brother is the best term though.
Literally, dude, it's the same color.
Yeah.
It's it's the younger brother. So before I got my boat, I had a 10-foot. Was it a 10.6 or 11.6? I think it was 11.6 Perception Striker.
Nice.
Also had the Ascend 12T.
Yep.
And then after that, March of last year is when I got the Old Town Topwater 120 PDL pedal drive. So I was like, sweet, I got 3 kayaks. And then all of a sudden I was like, I could do whatever I want with the kayaks. I could have people come with me, do whatever. I had different applications. But then I noticed as the boat was being more worked on, that I was only using 1 kayak. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll sell these.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use the big boy kayak for everything.
Yep.
Oh boy, was I wrong! By the 5th time, I wanted to try to go to a pond that had no launch, and like I hand it to all these guys with the pedal drive kayaks. They have their ways of doing stuff, but for me, I have so many little ponds by me that are not trailer accessible. And I have my kayaks on a trailer because it literally weighs 130 pounds.
Yeah, it's a heavy boat. It is, man.
And dragging it into the bed of my truck is a pain because my batteries are in the front of that to run my lights, my power, my fish finder.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say power, it's not like a Minn Kota one. It's just I have power to control not control, just to recharge my cell phone
Yeah.
if I'm on the water. My my Bluetooth speaker that we're all enjoying when we're out there fishing, because no more earbuds. I hear you talk about that in your podcast.
I do, man. You were the one. You were the one who was like, that day I was like, this is great. And I can hear everything that's going around or in the environment around me. Like that was fantastic.
That was my issue, is when I was using earbuds is I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, Bluetooth speaker. So I can charge that. I can charge my cell phone.
Yep.
And I have my emergency lights on the kayak for when I'm out at night, and then my fish finder. So I have batteries in the front of it, you know.
Yeah.
Plus all the gear and stuff. It gets a pain where I can just pull in a jet ski trailer. It's modified to hold my kayak and pull out.
Yeah. Just let it rip.
You know. But yeah, like,
and it gives you an ideal sort of space for rigging. You know, like you can set things up and get yourself ready to go, and then just, you know, move it right from there, you know, and
it's also a workbench.
Yeah, it works out really, really
like,
well.
People don't realize that the trailer is also a workbench.
Mm-hmm.
The kayak sits on it. I can work on the kayak and then cover it and go do whatever. But like I said, like, I have so many little ponds I couldn't get to last year, and it made me mad because all these little ponds were ponds that usually did well for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of them are like a 2 foot drop from the ledge or 1 foot drop from the ledge. So it's kind of like, what do I do?
Exactly.
So I was kicking myself in the ass because I got rid of, you know, my 11.6, which would have been perfect because it was lightweight. The Sen 12T, I'm happy I got rid of it. My buddy who has it, he's loving it.
Yeah, that's a good starter boat.
It is, but it was not ideal for what I wanted to do.
Yep.
So I literally I paid off my top water kayak, my pedal drive, and then that same day I purchased it's a 10.6. It's an Old Town Sportsman 10.6 regular kayak.
Oh, yeah. But think about it. Like, it allows you to just throw it in the bed of your truck.
Oh, dude. It's 60 pounds. I'm not modifying that. I repeat, I am not modifying that, even though I still get messages on how to do stuff with kayaks, which I love.
Yeah,
I love people reaching out and be like, oh, dude, I seen your kayaks. You know, I love them. Like, can you help me? I'm like, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But for me to say that I'm not customizing this kayak
it's kind of crazy.
Weird.
Yeah.
Because all my other ones have been so redone and revamped
Are you doing anything with electronics on there? Are you going to put like a small fish finder or anything just to like utilize it? Nothing at all, huh?
Nothing. I want this thing to remain
bare naked.
Light. It's 60 pounds. Yeah. I can carry it with one arm pretty much. I just want to toss it in my truck and throw that thing in the water.
It's not a bad thing.
You know? Tomorrow I'm going to a pond that's not far from my house, and I'm going to use that thing first. And then when I got to work next week, I'm going to hit up some of the ponds that are local to where I work because they have no launches.
Yeah.
So I'll be using that there too.
Well, and the beauty of it is I've had conversations about, like, when you first did this, I was like, I think that's genius.
Oh, hell
because I can remember you know, talking about getting into tournaments this year. And I told numerous people, I was like, think about it. I even mentioned this, I think, to Lauren and Derek over at Three Bells. I was like, this is a genius move because it gives you the accessibility of a great pond hopping boat. You can go and fun fish, and do all this great social stuff and get out there and create your content and do all this. But like, when it comes to tournaments, let's just say, hypothetically, you come to fish with a couple of jabronis like myself and the Hookset guys, and you know, and we're fishing doing a contest where we're going to eat like bull testicles in the woods or something, hypothetically speaking. But let's say that goes down, and then like something happens with your pedal drive, and you have a tournament in a week.
Yeah.
Now you've got to turn it around, and you wouldn't be able to fish because you're limited to that one kayak. Now you've got your 10 that you can use for all the fun stuff you want, and then come tournament day that your top water 12 is ready for business.
It's ready.
You know,
it's ready.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So I was talking to someone about it the other day. So my boat, being that's a 14-footer, it's allowed into Slay Nation.
Yeah, I was going to ask you
that's the
about
cutoff.
that. Yeah.
It's powered by Minn Kota trolling motors,
Yep.
so it's not gas at all. Which everybody's
Now
like,
you have a dozen of those on the back, right? So you can actually get up on plane.
I mean, it does lift out of the water a little bit.
That boat actually does cook, even with a lard ass like me on it. That boat does move.
Oh, you haven't been on it since I put a bigger boy battery on it.
Oh, well, we're gonna need to rectify this clearly.
Anytime, my brother. Anytime. So the boat is literally going to be for tournaments and like bigger bodies of lakes.
Yeah,
It's just smart.
yeah, I agree.
The kayak, my pedal drive, is also going to be for big ponds, small ponds that have launches, decent sized lakes, and yeah, I'll bring it out for like a tournament or two.
Yeah,
just so I can just still have fun with it.
exactly.
The little kayak is strictly for those places that are hard to get to and everything. But yeah, dude, the boat. So I kind of got a bigger battery for it.
So yeah,
It's, when you went out with me, we had a battery for the rear. Did I have the trolling motor on the rear at the time?
yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I had the battery on that, which is a 600 cranking amp, and the battery controlling the front motor was an 800 cranking amp. Well, your boy got 1,000 cranking amp for the front.
Why not?
Damien was on it with me, and yeah, we took off. We took off. But yeah, I mean, I'm literally running 5 batteries on that boat, which I know it's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's also me, so you expect it.
And it's I mean, it's a 14-footer, so like you've got the ability to play with that much weight, Well,
yeah. Well, I have the three batteries that run the motors are in the back.
Yep.
I got my old battery that's hooked up at all times to the rear trolling motor. I call that the loading, unloading, and oh shit motor.
Yeah.
Like if the front one decides it just wants to stop working,
yeah,
then
exactly.
I got the rear one to work with 2 batteries powering it. The 1,000 cranking amp is hooked up to the front motor at all times.
Yep.
Because that's the power boy. And then my 800 is a backup to the front or rear, but more of the front because the front gets more than the rear.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
But I have a 12-volt lawn garden tractor battery.
Oh, all right.
You could put like in your lawnmower.
Yeah. And what's that?
That's actually that runs. My boat has lights on it now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You told me about the lights.
Yep, it has lights on it, and I can also charge my cell phone on it.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing either.
That battery is hooked up to those, but if any of the other 3 batteries die, then I got a small one to get back to the launch.
Now, are you running any electronics on there?
Oh, I got a nice fish finder.
Nice. Very nice.
I got God, is it a Striker? No. I forgot what model it is. It is a Garmin.
It's a Garmin, yeah.
But it's cool because it's like the bigger screen one, which is cool because I'd rather have the bigger screen for the kayak.
Yep.
I mean, for the boat.
Yeah, for the boat.
Oops, almost gave myself away. I was looking at a new fish finder for the kayak.
Oh, there you go.
It was the Striker 7.
That's it. I'll tell you what, man. That's a great screen, though.
It is.
That Striker 7 is nice. It's like it's big enough for a kayak or like somebody with me with like old man eyes and stuff like that. It's large enough where you can still see stuff, but it's still compact enough where it's not crazy because it's like the size of like a Kindle.
Oh, dude, it really is. Yeah. Actually, I got it inside my fishing closet. Hold on. But yeah, I do have a fish finder on the boat.
Yep.
It's the Garmin 63 CV.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. EcoMap, all that fun dilly dad.
Nice.
It's cool because it has that case that like a lot of the boats will have where it just snaps in.
Yep.
But mine's cool because whatever. Where mine is, the plugs for it are attached to the main screen holder. So I literally just have to pull the screen off, and the cables stay with the lock at all times.
That's
so
awesome.
I never had to pull my cables off.
That's awesome,
it's fancy.
dude.
It's fancy.
That's great, man. No,
So
I love that.
I got that. It works really good too. Yeah, whenever you want to come out on the boat again, let's go.
Yeah, I'm all about it, man.
It's fun, dude. I redid the trim. Actually, I cleaned up the boat a lot, retrimmed it. I actually repainted the boat. It looks so fresh.
You know what, man? I gotta make sure this isn't one of those no motors, at all, no motors allowed spots. But I got a spot we gotta hit.
Check it.
Yeah, I got a spot we gotta hit.
Well, you also have to look in deep too, because it could say no motors as in no gas.
That's what I'm thinking, because I do know some that are no gas, and I know that there's big boat guys
some
that are
that
out there.
Yeah,
that they just don't run their
some
outboard.
where you just can't bring any motors.
Yeah, exactly. So this one that I'm thinking of, I gotta look into, but I'd love to bring you over there. And I'll be honest with you, like if it's one of these things where we can't take your boat out there, then we're just going to take the kayaks, because we could. It's reasonably sized, but I'm just thinking there are some spots that, like the last time we fished, was awesome. It
was a great day.
It was such a good day. Like
you survived. You didn't get killed or drowned.
I survived. I didn't have to use my that whistle that Bill gave me. I didn't have to worry about that. But I caught some great fish that day, and I think there was a Chronic Trips tournament going on.
It was,
and that's how so Sean was running the standings, I think, or was at least about to start taking over the tournament, the role of tournament director, and he's getting these updates, and he's just like, "Look at you go, man!" I was like 17s and 18s. I'm like, "This is absolutely great."
I think you had 3 that you're able to enter the tournament.
Yeah, I had 3 of them, and there were like 2 17s and an 18. It was a great day. But like I always tell the story about that guy with the freaking sailboat, man.
Oh, dude, it's such a
holy crap.
Well, no, when you're telling this story on our roundtable discussion, and then Alex, Swamp Rat Fishing, goes, "You mean a guy who looks like Delirious wearing a mask didn't want help from you guys?"
Yes, exactly. That's right. We talked about it on that live stream. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Dude, it was a good day, because you were catching them left and right by the bridge.
Yeah. When we were over in that little
and like a good
channel.
friend I literally held onto the bridge so we wouldn't drift under it. So
that's right.
That was great, and it worked, dude.
Oh, dude, it was so good. I was like, oh, if this guy. Well, you caught a pickerel down one of those. Did you catch any bass that day?
I caught a pickerel. I was happy, dude. I caught something.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was.
I mean, it was a good time too, man.
And that was the first time
music.
either one of us had ever fished that body of water. It was a good time.
It was also the first time we ever met.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too.
And then we had that guy at the launch, like, "Oh, you guys putting your boat in here?" It's like, yeah, we're freaking sending it, man.
Well, and I remember that was a sketchy boat ramp too. There was, he was talking about the water level being low, and it makes sense now, because I think, didn't he say he had a pontoon boat and wasn't able to put it in because of the low levels, and it was like it was just a sketchy boat ramp. But boat ramps they come with the territory.
I mean, we got in there no problem. I may or may not have to jump in the water to move the boat
a couple of times.
Area.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's all the fun part. I don't mind jumping in the water, Yep. I'm like Todd Grubbs going after a fish, but I'm moving a boat.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Shout out to the homie Todd. He's another one I got to fish with this year.
You'll have a great time with him. We should all make that happen, because you'll have a great. He's a great dude. He's a lot of fun.
Shoot, we should see if he'll be down to come for the barbecue or for what we're talking about, and soon.
Oh, I'll bet you. Yeah, I bet you he'd be down for that.
Like, dude, just come here in 2 months, and we'll go fishing and have fun and have food.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you want to catch catfish, there's catfish in there too.
Oh yeah, that's a nice body of water though. Over where Damien wants to do this.
It is. It's such a nice body of water. It's just it. You know how it is. It's hard to fish there.
I caught like the dinkiest of all dinks over there, but like I know, like, isn't there a submerged bridge?
There's a lot of submerged everything.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We did this one spot, and I couldn't so talking about like small boats. Like Damien's boat is truly
It's small.
like small boat nation. And when you put a portly son of a bitch like myself on this type of a boat, we crossed over the other pond, like under the underpass, and I'm like, how is this going to happen? This is ridiculous.
When you guys went, did you go to the left and under that bridge, or did you go straight and under that bridge?
We went to the left.
Oh.
Yeah, we went to the left and then under that bridge.
So.
And Becca and Todd had a good day. Like they caught like infinitely more fish. I think Damien and I maybe each caught one, like a dink, but they were biting. But it was just tricky, man. It was one of those.
Yeah, it is.
Those like fluke and Senko days where it's like that was the best thing ever. Although it's funny, I was throwing a jig around for a bunch of it, and then there's a picture on Becca's Instagram where she was also throwing around a jig like about the same size as what I was throwing around, and she hooked the tiniest bass I've ever seen. And there's a picture from it. It was like, it was such a fun day, man. And then we got together. We had lunch over at Damien's in-laws' place,
which is cool.
So cool. We had we got to share a bunch of stories and stuff.
I think I was freaking working that.
You
day.
were. That sucked.
That's what sucked.
Yeah, you were. I was like, damn.
So my spot at Glasgow at that place, it's as soon as you go to launch, as soon as you launch, you take a left, but you go straight. You don't go left and left. You go straight from the launch. There's another bridge.
Okay.
It's lower than the other one you guys went under.
Oh, geez.
Like literally for me to go under it with my boat, I am laying down in the giant opening of my boat and using my hands to push me under.
Oh, so it's that. Okay. So I was wondering if Becca got her boat in there, but there's no way.
But that's where I got my 5-pounder.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. That's
actually where I'm going tomorrow with a little kayak, just to see if there's anything biting right now.
Yeah.
Because I know the color pattern there never changes. So
there is a spot up here that I would love to fish with you.
Let's go. Let's go tonight. Okay, I got lights.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not messing around with that cold ass water. I'm not fooling around with it. Yeah.
No.
But
even in the boat, man. Yeah. Like, I got to make sure I have my life jacket still, because we're
definitely.
In Connecticut. We're told we have to wear it until June. So.
Oh, really? Now, what about in the tournaments? Are you required to wear them in the tournaments?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's the way to do it. Do you use an inflatable, or do you have like a standard like?
I have that the CO2 inflatable.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting one of those.
Thing.
I'm thinking about getting one of those for the warmer weather. And then,
dude, they're nice.
Yeah, and then using my my foam PFD, the one that's got like all the pockets and all that stuff.
Well, I do have a story about that life jacket, but Sean will kill me.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know if I talked about it on the podcast before, but
I don't know.
When I think it was 2018 or 2019 when I was doing the tournaments for Frankie of Slay Nation. I think it was our first or second tournament. I was 2-hour ride away from my house.
Yep.
And a guy in a pontoon boat. Now, this is why I hate pontoon boats, is I didn't realize that they actually had power to them. Like they can lift
move
up out of the water.
Yeah, they can move.
So the place where let me give you a little insight of this place. It's where we're fishing. It's a river that flows into a lake that flows back into a river. So you have current all day. So my partner and I, tournament partner and I, were floating around, having a bite to eat or something.
Uh-huh.
And this guy in a pontoon boat just looks over at us, and you just see his hand engage the full freaking lever. And he breaks plane on a freaking pontoon boat and creates a wake that flipped me over in my kayak in early April, where it's still cold.
Yep.
And it's not shallow water. I think it was like it had to be like 30 feet deep. I'm in a hoodie, jeans, work boots. And I have my life vest on that you pull the cord and it instantly inflate.
Yep.
So I'm underwater, for like
Oh
10
yeah,
seconds.
we did. You did.
Yeah.
We did talk about this.
Yeah, Sean's going to kill me because you should have been in a wetsuit. Sean, I know, buddy.
Yeah.
I know. But, yeah. Pulled the ripcord, came back up. I was still in the water for like another, I don't know, freaking 5 minutes trying to fight the current to get back to shore.
Yeah.
My tournament partner is grabbing my kayak and what gear that was floating.
Yeah.
Which wasn't much. But yeah, it's cold. That's why I'm like now, like until it warms up, that water warms up, my life jacket's on. Once that water really warms up, like it's warm, the life jacket goes off because I guarantee I'm going swimming at some point.
Yeah.
I love the water. That's it.
No, I hear you. It's funny because I remember it was when the first time I fished with Todd. We're fishing this one random little pond. I forget who had suggested. It might have been a pond that Sean had suggested. And this was like the virgin voyage for my kayak. The first day going out in it. And, and it was great because like Todd and I had a great interview on the show. And I think it was like about a month or so later, we're out fishing at this pond and, we're just talking and, just all this other stuff. And my back was toward him. I'm kind of paddling alongside the bank and, going over to like some kind of a lay down or something. And I hear just this loud splash behind me. And I turn around thinking like, holy crap, what did he like roll his kayak or something? No, he was hot and wanted to cool down. So he jumped in, like just stood up and walked off his kayak, climbed back up. It's guys like
it's no big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's agile and can do, all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this would be a mess so I do everything I can to make sure that I don't go in the water, but
I jump in. Like my pedal drive kayak, it's stable enough for me to jump in.
Yeah.
That thing holds like 500 pounds.
That old
maybe
time?
more.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah. Well, my new one holds 440.
The 10?
My 10 holds 440.
Holy cow, man! I figured that would hold 3.
And when I was looking at, actually, I had them out side by side the other day. I was looking at. I think my 10 is an inch or 2 inches wider than my 12.
No kidding. That's actually awesome.
And the hulls are built the same.
Yeah.
So it's going to be stable. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's going to be huge, man. You're going to have a killer year. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
And I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait for everybody to see what kind of crazy shit I bring to the table this year,
definitely.
Man.
And we've talked about doing boats and scroats and definitely having another challenge. And I think there's actually going to end up being multiples that are ultimately, that's what I'm hoping is going to happen. We'll have multiple.
Well, because we have such a strong group of people together now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like I think when I invited you guys to come by me to fish, I think that broke the ice on us all getting together and fishing.
For sure.
Dude, that day was crazy.
Yeah.
I got beat at a freaking pond that I kill at, and I got beat.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that tell you?
That's unbelievable. Oh,
I blame it on my still drunk tournament partner. But
when you hear this. This already, by the time listeners are listening to this, the interview with Joel will have already happened.
Yeah.
But so that will have already run. But in that interview, there's a point where Joel's talking about some issues he had with one of his rods, like a crazy backlash, and he wasn't able to get it like cleared up. And I remember, I remember we were both fishing in this one little cove. Both of us fishing topwater. It was the only time I caught a fish. I caught a pickerel over there, and I'm going along, further down him because, I thought he was just like working this one spot really, really well. So I'm like, I'm going to cut across over here. And as I get closer, I realize he's working on a backlash. Like, oh, what's going on? It's like, dude, he's like, I messed this one up bad. And I'm like, oh, here's a trick. And I go, what you got to do is put a bunch of pressure on the spool and crank your drag down as tight as it can go, and then give it a couple of cranks slowly. And basically what you're going to do is undo that backlash, loosen it up so that way you can pull it all out and you'll be good to go. Well, he must have tried 3 or 4 times and it only made it worse. And I didn't realize that. I felt so bad. And actually since then, I would never, so listeners, that trick, that little tip that I just threw out there, I wouldn't suggest it, man. Like, I've tried it. I've never made it anything worse. I generally, knock on wood, I'm able to generally fix whatever I have to. I very rarely am I yep, this rod's done. I might put it down for a little while so that I can continue fishing. But Yeah, I felt so bad. I was like, son of a bitch. And then it dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute. You mean that you went through that level of difficulty, that challenge? You persevered in the face of adversity, and we still won that challenge.
Yeah,
We still managed to somehow win that challenge.
which was insane.
It's insane. Yet every single one of us ate the hot sauce like freaking. It was
Like
the
idiots.
Kool-Aid at the freaking Jonestown.
Dude, I was good for 5 minutes while everybody's like hunched over, and all of a sudden it just hit me like a wall.
Well, we're
and I was
like-
like, oh.
It was crazy. I can remember like clear as day. Wild Bill and I are just like super animated, like hacking and coughing and like, pounding the tortilla chips, trying to make the pain disappear. And it's just, it's terrible. And then we look at each other and we're like, where's Delirious? And we're like, is he all right? Because we're like, he ate it and then just put the mask on. So like, we had no idea how bad it was hitting you at all. And then we're like, he got really quiet and went over by the boat. Like, hey, you okay, dude? And you're like, yeah, I'm fine. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then Joel was trying to have a conversation about the kayak. I look at Joel, I'm like, not now.
So I didn't realize this at the time. And I owe a major apology to everybody with the whole DeBomb challenge. I have always said that I'm not a fan of hot sauces that use capsaicin extract or pepper extract to bump up the heat, the intensity. And I was under the impression at the time that DeBomb Beyond Insanity is what's considered a natural hot sauce, meaning that it's peppers, vinegar, spices, salt, and that's it. Like, it's very simple. There is something in there that they add called like natural pepper additive or natural pepper something. and I found out very recently that it is extract. That is why the bomb is so hot.
Yep.
It is it is like it's not human, the level of heat. And like I said, it's level 2 of 5 in their series.
Yeah.
I heard that
insane.
they did release one that was all natural because they got a lot of people that were just like, oh, it's an extract, it's not a natural hot sauce. And they did release one that was all natural that is like it will bring you to your knees, but it's nowhere near as bad as the bomb.
I got a hot sauce for you to try next time I see you.
Yeah, bring it on. I'm game for it. I don't need this digestive system.
It's ghost pepper.
Yeah,
mixed with Carolina Reaper.
Okay, all right.
It is all natural.
I just had a.
Hope your toilet's ready.
I just had a couple of interesting spicy foods during our scouting mission out on the eastern part of the state. Sean the fisherman and Nelson and I were in a local fish market actually, and there happened to be a display for Stonewall Kitchen. Some of their sauces and chutneys and things like that, and Sean pointed out there's a ghost chili aioli. And I bought that, and that was like 3 weeks ago, and the jar's almost gone.
Oh, it must be delicious.
It's so good. It's warm, but it's Stonewall Kitchen warm. Like, it's not that crazy. But then there's a local hot sauce company that is they're closing down their brick and mortar store, and they were liquidating all of their inventory. And they do like hot sauce and cooking oils and things like that. And Sean's a big fan and wanted to get out there and restock. And he's like, hey, if I find any interesting hot sauces, I'm just going to surprise you with them. You go for it. Because I don't know if it's like if it's like the entertainment that he likes that he gets out of me from eating the hot sauce or anything like that. But I definitely feel like he lives vicariously through my endeavors with this. And he brought me a bottle of, I think it's called Bravado, and it's blueberry ghost chili, and it's delicious.
Sounds delicious.
But I posted a story and I used the song "Hurt" by 9 Inch Nails music for it because it was delicious. It was potent. It wasn't the bomb, but it was potent. Oh yeah, I do. I feel bad now. I used the bomb and I'm like, I feel like this is cheating because it's got extract,
But we all freaking we survived. I mean,
we did. Some of us fared better than others.
And we're still cursing at you for it.
Yep.
But I mean, apparently Bill wants to give it hell again, and so do you.
Yeah. You know, I mean,
I mean,
think
I'm down for it.
The bull testicles thing is just going to be,
Yeah, I'm
absolutely
not
insane.
losing to that one. I'm not losing.
Well, so Sean gave me a great idea, and he was talking
Of course
about,
he did. It's Sean.
he does. He does.
Twisted
We still need to find somebody to like be the chef. Like I'm looking for somebody that's got a food truck or some way that we can do this like for real. Although in a recent YouTube video, I found a camping fryer that might actually be the deal. If we can't find anybody else to do this, like if I can make in advance the bull testicles and put them together, I think this could be absolutely amazing.
Oh,
Absolutely
dude.
amazing. Yep.
I think the whole day will be amazing once we give it hell.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, because you'll have freaking like we're discussing. We'll pick instead of saying, "All right, this is who I'm fishing with," we're just free for all, and we'll randomly pick teammates from an app or whatever.
Well, and there is some rumbling here that Three Bells had suggested they wanted to do something with us as far as like, I don't know if it was like a fishing challenge or just like some type of a content thing, but there's something in the works there as well. And I think we're going to be recruiting some folks to come and be a part of it. And, you know, yeah, big personalities are definitely encouraged, you know.
I think I think when they come around, we'll do a separate event.
Yeah.
Just
Be a
so
good idea.
Yeah, because the way we are together.
Well, and
God.
we have some ideas that I like. We have this one idea. I didn't even mention this to you today. I should have, and I don't want to mention it right now because I don't want to give too much away. But
you're good.
I don't think that 2021 is the year for it, just because I think we need to buy as much time as possible to make it work. But this would be a cool. I'll tell you this much: the essentially what we've been talking about doing was like a Jigs and Bigs meetup, and like almost like a festival, like an event. You know,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of layers to it, you know, and I just think it could be awesome.
I mean, I think it'd work out great because when you interviewed me the first time, like,
Yeah,
you guys were like just growing, and now it's like here we are, March of 2021. You guys have freaking grown big.
it's fast, man. I can't believe it. I
mean,
pinch
so good
myself
for
like
you
every day.
guys.
I'm like, holy crap, this is like for real.
Yeah.
Jeez, you know, and like, I mean, I know, like, I look at our numbers, our listeners and stuff, and it's humble beginnings, but like just the number of just the growth that we've had in this last year is just, I can't believe it, man. And these listeners, the jig heads, like everybody, everybody who follows us on Instagram and likes the Facebook page and the YouTube channel is getting subscribers. That blows my mind.
Yeah,
know?
I subscribed the other day to you guys.
Yeah, that's crazy.
From my new channel.
Who wants to watch a random dozen people basically hang out on a random weeknight and bullshit,
Dude,
maybe
it's
about
so
fishing for
fun,
3
though.
hours? Oh, man. I'm like, is this really fun for you guys to watch? I'm like, because we're having a blast. We love it. You know?
We love it.
We're having a blast, but it's like,
Especially getting Cody on. Oh,
Cody's amazing. Oh, my goodness. We have such good
so
stuff
definitely.
planned.
So with Cody and me, I think he's just a little bit. He is a little crazier than I am. I'll admit that.
But it's a different kind of crazy.
Yes, but he. Like we're talking today, I'm still more of the black sheep of this whole family.
Yeah. Yep.
There's no one taking that from me.
I think I lay it out like this. Like if I had to compare you guys to like movie characters, okay? Like who would you compare Delirious Angler to? Like that role, if you were to say like this is who he's like as like a movie character, and I'll give you what I think the role is that Cody fills.
For me?
Yeah, for you.
Movie character?
Yeah, like
Oh,
I
man.
think the quick ones I think of is like, okay, so like Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Myers in some way, you know? Except instead of chasing Jamie Lee Curtis everywhere, he's chasing largemouth and smallmouth bass.
I'd say almost like Freddy Krueger too.
That too,
Without
yeah.
the whole why he got the way he did.
Although I'll tell you, if you manage to get Dawkin on the Delirious Angler soundtrack, I mean that's I'm not worthy. That's amazing. But so like in that realm, in that genre right there, I feel like Cody is more like Johnny Depp in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Like it's a different kind of crazy. You know what I mean?
Two different.
He's like Hunter S.
spectrums.
Thompson.
Dude, but it works, man. Like me and like
definitely
he'll
works.
message me and we'll bullshit about stuff like here and there. Well, like I said, like lately I just like I'll get messages and I'm just like I'm honestly not in the mood to answer anything today. And it's not towards anyone. It's
No.
just,
I know how it is. Sometimes you're not feeling it.
well, not feeling it now that it's nice weather again. It's
Yeah.
like my whole attitude and mood has like changed, and I'm just like ready to just get out there and spend less time editing and crap and just giving it hell. Like for the whole YouTube thing I'm doing, I don't want to edit like everybody else. Like I don't want to like only show you the big fish I catch. I want to show you everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm also not going to do where like some people do like once a month where they do their blooper reels of them messing up.
Yep.
No, you're going to have my mess ups along with
Right
it.
in it.
Because
Yeah.
if I edit to where you just see me catching fish, it's not going to be a true delirious angler style.
It's the insanity leading up and carrying out that like makes it that really honestly tells the story.
Like there's literally a reason why it's called fishing mixed with insanity.
Yep.
It's not just mass angler anymore. It's fishing mixed with insanity.
Yeah. No.
That's what it's going to be. Like I said, I'm going to be like when I'm on the water, I do argue with myself in multiple voices. You're going to hear that.
You guys are going to hear that. I've heard it. I've heard
it's fun. It's funny as heck. Like even I stopped talking. I'm like, what am I doing with myself? Oh, you're just being an idiot again. Will you stop making fun of me? Oh, I can't help it because I'm inside your head, so I know exactly what you're going to say. You need to stop making fun of me. Oh, I don't want to. So there's going to be a lot of that.
Yeah.
You'll probably catch me singing. Because I sing when I'm out on the water
okay.
for no apparent reason.
This actually, who was it that brought this up? A fishing challenge where the loser has to sing karaoke songs chosen by the other team? Was this Wild Bill? God, I'm getting so old and I forget these challenges.
Honestly, I'd probably purposely lose that because I used to do a little karaoke before COVID hit.
You like, I see you like singing. I
don't mind singing. Yeah, everybody, the lunatic likes singing. Get over it. It's not the end of the freaking world here.
You want to hear the extent of my karaoke, like my go-to jam?
Yeah.
Tequila. That's pretty much it.
You're just standing there the whole time. Tequila.
Tequila.
Dude, like before COVID hit, I actually went to a couple bars with some friends and I'd jam out to karaoke and just have a blast.
No.
I mean, sometimes my song choices weren't appropriate because they'd be like full metal, but I don't.
Which is fine. Yeah, it's fine. I used to, I'll tell you what, I don't like karaoke's for some people, not for others. It's definitely not for me. I used to run a trivia night on a Thursday night in Northampton, Massachusetts. I still do, but with COVID, karaoke doesn't fly. Sharing microphones and stuff. Yeah. With my game, people are using their phones to answer questions and stuff. So. Like there's a little bit more distance between you and the customer and everything else. So like it's a different animal to go out in bars and restaurants right now. So
it's not funny.
I can remember some of the songs. Like it was this one group of people who would come in, and when I say group, I mean they were a choir. Like that's what they did.
Hell yeah,
dude! I give them props for being dedicated and following that host around to the different karaoke nights that they did. But dude, they sang the saddest songs ever.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't.
It was the worst. Like there was no, and then you would get, and the thing is, like in Northampton, like there's college students and stuff. So it's like you get these college kids that come in and they're like, what? And either they're totally turned off by like just the sappy, sad love songs, and they leave, or you get them going up and they try to be so over the top, and you're just like, holy crap, this is ridiculous. Yeah, but there have been some nuggets where some of my trivia regulars have hung out and they're like, oh, I'm going to sing a song. It's going to be hilarious. And they might get up there and like rock the toadies or something like that. And I'm like, dude, that's great. I'm all about that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man.
I got a good one for you. So let me tell you a quick story about karaoke and my wife's 40th birthday. So
did you sing tequila?
No, I did not sing Tequila. I don't do karaoke at all. It's just, I like at work parties and stuff. I used to with one of my old coworkers, and it was bad. We came up with like a makeshift like karaoke like duo. We called ourselves Judge Molly Hatchet. And then on the holidays, we did a Christmas show as Cameron Manheim Steamroller. So anyway, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
But there was this. So my wife's 40th birthday. How do we spend that day? Oh, she took the day off of work, and I brought her out to get a new tattoo. And she was super happy, and we went out and had dinner after we got the kids all set up and everything. We went out, we had dinner, and then we went to my job that night was a trivia. And she likes to come out and play trivia, every so often. So she comes out, she's like, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. And we had a bunch of her friends come out, like it was great. They were, it was a whole lot of fun, and I put on a good show for them. Well, at the end of the night, like the karaoke starts, and it's a little ridiculous. And my wife loves to sing karaoke, loves it. She's got a really nice voice. She has a really, really great voice. She goes up and sings this song from Rihanna about murdering your significant other or husband because you're cheating on them and they won't leave you.
Wow.
I forget the name of it. But she's so blackout drunk, D. So blackout drunk. Like there was a domestic issue between this one couple, and like this one girl, she wanted to punch my wife so bad. I don't know why.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad.
Wow.
So we got her out of there. But yeah, she's out there. I forget the name of the song by Rihanna. And I'm like, everybody's listening to these lyrics and they're looking at me like, you're married to her, right? That song's about killing you. Because she's messing around on you. And I'm like, what? She doesn't remember that at all. But she's just like, yeah, I know this song. Blah, blah. I can't remember the name of the song. Damn it. I'm going to end up playing it at the end of this episode. Watch. And then we'll get messaging
me.
Yeah.
So the last song, one of the songs I did that people are like kind of turned off about, it was a Rihanna song. It was Diamonds, but redone by... what was it? Any Given Day,
yes.
Which is a metal band.
Yep.
They redid the song Diamonds.
Yep.
And it starts off freaking amazing.
Yep.
And once that chorus hits, it's straight up freaking metal screaming.
Yeah.
And I did that, and people are like, and I'm jamming out. I'm freaking running around, pouring sweat, having fun. People are like, okay.
The manager at the TGI Fridays is like, we have a situation in the upper deck. Can we get...
Pretty much. Oh man. So what do you got going on this year? Anything big?
I'm just working on technique. I'm trying to get more comfortable with moving baits, namely lipless cranks. And I'm trying to learn electronics. That's the big one. I want to learn how to find fish. So I've been really getting a little bit more comfortable using charts on Navionics. Nice. I'm finding that a lot of the bodies of water that I fish don't have available charts necessarily. Which is kind of tough. But that's not the worst thing ever, because I've learned how to kind of use Google Earth to my benefit.
I love Google Earth.
Yeah, it really is. Especially like, I use it on my laptop now with an external monitor, like a big monitor. And I'm like, okay, cool. So let's, I can go and actually take a look at contours and see things with that on my phone. It's just like, yeah, it's not enough. I'm working on some stuff. I'm really excited to get out and start using some electronics and start learning some stuff.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. This is going to be a year of building for Bobby Roast Beef, and then the rest of the growth I really kind of want to put into the podcast, and bring things up like to another level. The shit show is going to be happening. I was just talking with Elise. And she's like, that live stream was crazy. She's like, we need to get together and, we got to like pump out a bunch of shows. And I was like, that's exactly it. Cause my schedule is going to be nuts because we've got a lot coming up with tournaments, and we've got a lot coming up with appearances and things like that. Her schedule is going to be even crazier because she's got clients all over the place that are in like pro tournaments, and, she's got stuff to do with all that. So, she's on the road quite a bit, so we're going to try and record like 2 and 3 episodes at a time and then bank them and then put them out slowly one at a time. But eventually that show is going to be a live stream. Eventually that's what I hope to be able to do, and it'll be a little bit more remote and interesting, but we'll see what happens.
I'm loving these live streams that you're putting on though. They're fun, dude.
If I had the evening, if I had a night of the week that I could say, yeah, I'm going to carve out the time here, and this is when we're going to do it. I realistically, I could do it any weeknight, but I wouldn't be able to do it until like 10 o'clock. And I'm not sure that the viewing audience wants to watch that kind of ridiculousness that late into the night.
Yep.
And then on weekends, I could work it out most of the time, but we have stuff going on weekends. Other people have tons of stuff going on weekends. So, we'll figure it out.
Well, it's nice because you put out one message saying, hey, if you can make it, hop on. If not,
and what is
on the next one.
What is nice is that if people can't watch it, then they're still available on the YouTube channel. They can go back and watch it.
And we're all sharing it like crazy, too.
Yeah, absolutely. It blows my mind. I'm like, just the networking is crazy. Like, I couldn't believe Debo was on the first one. And he's like, yeah, man, I'll come by and do it. It'll be cool, And I'm like, this is so cool.
It's fun.
Alex and Todd, and then we had Todd and Becca for this one, and I mean, it was really, really good, and I try to
fun one of those.
It definitely was.
Cody actually had internet connection. Like, let's be crazy. Like, it was a good night when Cody never left.
Oh my goodness! So by the time this piece that we're recording now actually runs on the show, my episode for Fishing for Answers on the Hookset Hoodlums YouTube channel will have already run. But
I can't wait for that.
I just as we're recording this, I just recorded this with them Thursday night, and it drops tomorrow.
Yeah, Sunday.
And I'm so psyched to see it. So I don't know.
I love their 10 minutes of Fishing for Answers.
Yeah.
When Bill he pitched the idea to me.
Yep.
And he was like, listen, this is what we want to do. It's pretty much going to be random shit, crazy. He goes, we want to do it, but you got to be our first guest because it'd be the perfect way to kick it off.
Definitely.
He's like, what better way than bringing on the crazy guy of the fishing world onto a crazy 10-minute segment? I was like, dude, I'm for it.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, let's be real. He goes, I know how you are, but what can we not talk about? What's off the table? I'm like, no names and no talking about who I am.
Yeah.
He's like, what else? I'm like, that's it. Fuck it. I don't care.
Yeah. I think what was like the first words of any guest on there? They were like, okay, you ready? You're just like, fuck it, let's go. Something like that. I'm like,
he's like, all right, we got to try to keep the swearing down. And he's like setting his watch. He's like, oh, I got to set my watch. I'm like, fuck your watch. He goes, and that's why do whatever you want.
It is really good.
It is
like fun. It is good. I told a doozy of a story on there, and I wasn't expecting to divulge this story, but then the more I think about it, I think I might have talked about it on the podcast. Yeah, I think I might have talked about it on the podcast. I think I even mentioned it actually when I talked to them, because the question was like, you're the dumbest thing you've ever done or something like that, and it definitely qualified. Holy crap, it qualified.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good year though, my friend. Like I can't wait. Like this year, man, we went fishing three times last year, because we bank fished once. World War II, we bank fished.
Yep, we went this year actually 4 times, because we fished. Remember, we fished over at the launch for Joe's tournament.
Yes, when I just randomly showed up, and you're like, "Are you entered?" I was like, "Nah, I come to hang out."
That's awesome.
Let's we definitely got to fish more this year.
Yeah, it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
Like I said, with the boat being,
you got to meet my buddy Paul. I think.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, I think you and him would get a kick out of each other.
Like I definitely want to meet up with you as much as possible. Yep. Sean, I want to meet up with and fish, because I think that'd be just fun itself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was talking to him about like where we could go, and he was talking about that lake or pond with that campground.
Yes, that's another one. I've caught big fish there too.
Well, because I'm thinking as more of fishing with you guys and having fun, but also creating content while we're there.
Yeah, and the resources are huge.
Fitting.
Yeah.
Definitely with the Hookset guys, dude. I'm looking forward to just getting together with all you guys this year. Like, it's going to be insane.
Dude, it's going to be awesome. I'm really, really excited for it, man.
And with that YouTube coming this year, man.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. A brand new. Oh, that's gonna be killer.
I'm going to try. So my game plan with that, like literally, is I want to fish a whole week.
Yep.
And release like a video once a week if I can, just with every day mixed in.
There you go.
And like literally, because I'm downloading Adobe Rush, which allow me to do a bunch of stuff, which is nice.
Oh yeah.
And you can literally like put down fonts of like whatever you're doing or say whatever you want. So I'm like, all right, I can take that to my benefit where I'm saying, all right, I'm fishing. Today's March 20th and I'm fishing.
Yep.
And then I show March 20th and then all of a sudden it'll roll over to like March 22nd.
That's actually pretty cool because then you're like, you have a vlog essentially that's, 7 days long, but you're cutting in, and checking in periodically throughout. So while it might be a slow day is only going to be so much that shows up on that video.
Oh yeah.
But there might be other things. So that's kind of cool, man. And you get to kind of play with the timeline like that.
Yeah. And then anytime I fish, like say you or Bill or or Damien or other guys, I think we're going to have like a special intro or outro to the video that's going to be kind of horror style themed.
Awesome. There's going to be some freaking what's that freaking that movie with what the hell's the name of the movie? Saw.
I don't. Oh yeah.
Saw. Yeah. Now I'm scared. Now I'm scared myself. Damn it. It's not good.
All your life you've been doing dumb things. Now get out of my trap. It's gonna be good. And then
this bathroom looks familiar.
Oh, this is where I came to when I had the bomb hot sauce.
Yeah, that's so painfully accurate, actually.
Dude, I was like, once I got home, I think I was fine after like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm ready to go round 2. Let's go fishing.
Man, it was.
And then I'm getting messages of like you pulled over and while Bill pulled over to throw up and Joel's making sure he is okay while laughing at him. And it was a crazy day.
It's like the best feeling ever though, man. I love it.
But we had such a good time though. It's such a good freaking bonding experience to see how we'd all work together as a like team fishing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
And it was amazing. That's why I'm like looking for this year, like with everybody. Yeah. And with the tournaments this year, man, like they're all local to me, so it's gonna be fun.
That's huge, man. I tell you, like your whole New England trail that you mentioned in the initial episode that you had done, and we talked about it today a little bit. That I think is like a short list. I would love to plan something along those lines.
Oh, dude, it's
like when I'm able to just carve out the time and take 2 weeks and really go to a place, set up camp, fish. Do my thing, move on to the next location, maybe 1 to 2 spots per state and make that happen. But yeah, that's sort of the dream long term.
Like I was telling you today, like we would, when I went to New Hampshire, it was a 2-pound smallie, 2 3-pound largies. It was a crappie, bluegill, chain purple. Like I could literally caught almost every freshwater species in one spot. Like, who does that?
Yep.
And literally by 11 a.m., we're getting off the water, head back to get food. And I was like, dude, I'm on cloud 9. I don't want to fish New Hampshire tomorrow because I don't want to get disappointed. I'm ready to go home.
Yeah. I believe it, man.
So we left. Like, we both, like, my buddy and I, we had to freaking kill our time. And we're just like, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do the trip again this year, but like Vermont's being strict on their whole COVID rules, and New Hampshire's open. Maine is being strict too. So
I think if you know somebody, you might be able to make it work.
I do know somebody.
If you know people in those locations, you might be able to make it work. And especially as the next handful of months start going, like this might not be something that might work like post spawn, but maybe going into the fall, maybe September, by then things might kind of settle down. So
I was actually talking to someone who has property in Vermont. a beautiful property. And I was like, dude, I will pitch up a tent in the yard and wake up every morning and go fishing. This way I'm not bothering your dogs.
There you go.
And he's like, you're more than welcome to.
That's you can't turn that down. That's awesome, man.
No.
Nice. All right, man.
It's gonna be a good year, my friend. And we're going to go fishing.
It is. Very nice, dude. So Delirious, go ahead, man. Promote yourself a little bit more. Let people know where they can follow you, what to keep an eye out for and everything. And we'll go ahead and wrap this up.
Well, look for me on the old Instagram. It's delirious_angler. Look for me on TikTok now on delirious_angler, and keep your eye out for YouTube at Delirious Angler.
I love it, man. Always a good time to talk with you, my friend. Always.
Heck yeah, I'll be seeing you soon, brother.
Definitely. We got some good stuff on the horizon. I'm very, very excited. It's going to be fantastic. Well, guys, that about wraps up another great show. I mean, this has been a lot of weeks that we've been doing this, and I'm really excited that we got to this point, and we've kind of accomplished way more than I ever set out to do. So, lots of good things coming up. My schedule has been insane with recording interviews. I've got some good stuff, and coming up very soon, I've got Jeff Holloway, Big Nasty on Instagram, one of the Hookset Hoodlum fam. He went and spent some time with Lockwood Fishing, and the catches were of epic proportion, hands down. I mean, absolutely hands down. Great stuff. In fact, I think in the Hookset Hoodlum Pro Staff chat, there was a very heartfelt goodbye in the after their last day on the water, and I guess it got Rachel a little verklempt. So there's plans too. A bunch of us are supposed to get together and fish soon, so I'm hoping to be able to make that work.
I don't know if you saw the end of that recently. I caught some of it when I got off the water today. That I don't know if it was an invitation, a challenge, or a little of both, but Cody had said, "Look, Nasty made it down here. Bobby and Sean, let's go.
Let's do it."
And
yeah.
I just put a thumbs up and a smile and said, "Yeah, we'll consider that kind of thing." I didn't say anything. I was like, "Yeah, it's thumbs up and a smile." And his response was, "I mean it, Stretch."
Yep. Oh, he does. He wants us to go down there so bad.
He does.
It'll happen eventually. It will. Yeah. We'll get down there eventually. But we got lots of good stuff coming up, guys. Lots more fantastic things. One thing I do want to mention is that today I did something while I was out fishing, and it felt good for about a second. I was working a jig along this one actually there's a handful of down trees over here, so it's a little bit tricky. You get these corners, and it's really easy to get caught up in there. And there's a couple of just, random limbs that kind of cross over in weird spots. So you got to be careful when you have a jig in there and kind of work it slowly. But again, if you're not losing gear here and there, then you're not trying. Like, you got to lose the fear of throwing this gear where it's going to get caught up. But I happen to be dragging right over the top of this one limb and let the bait drop down, drag a little bit more, and I thought I had a bite, and I just set that big-ass hook into the biggest log I have ever. And I mean, when I went, it was almost like I was looking to crack, like break the rod. I'm just like, yup, there it is. That's a big one. It was the first hit I would have had all day. No go. So pour a little bit out for the jig that we lost today.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Goodbye, jig.
Yeah, it happens.
You served Bobby well.
I've freed that thing up so many times though, and it wasn't the ideal hook, so it's okay. It had to go. It lived its good life. But, what can we do? So, lots more good stuff to come, guys. All kinds of great interviews and everything. We'll have more tournament updates as the weeks start rolling and as we start adding to our coverage of what we'll have for results. You guys are going to get all that stuff, and the tour directors are going to be supplying me with breakdowns or audio files, and we'll be cutting clips together. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's going to be a whole thing. So, and it's all going to happen right within this regular Tuesday episode. Also, big news too. We're 2 episodes in for the shit show, and you might be wondering, why has the shit show with Bobby and Elise not come out yet? And the reason is we're just trying to get to the level of having 5 to 6 in the can ready to go, because Elise is super busy. She gets, lots of trade shows and she travels from different tournaments and things like that. This last one, we have a really interesting conversation about the top sheet. You know the top sheet when you buy a set of sheets? Like, do you use the top sheet, or do you just it stays in the closet, never to be touched?
Nope, that thing's closet bound from day one.
Okay, yeah.
Fuck that thing.
That was the conversation that we had. But then I went and I said, well, with your background, I'd like to name some professional bass anglers and I want you to give me your opinion on if they're a top sheet user or not. And I mean, you got to understand, we record this very late at night after a few libations, and it is for sheer entertainment, and she always delivers and brings something out of me, which is good. It's very entertaining. I highly recommend it. So that's going to be coming up after we get another 3 or 4 of them in the can, and we'll start putting them out every week. Let us know if there's a certain day you'd like that to drop. If you want it to be like on Fridays, if you want it to be on Thursdays, anything like that, we'll put that together. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and we're gonna make it all happen. But big thank you to all of you for sticking with us for this whole year, seeing where everything has gone. I mean, you're talking about, in fact, to bring up George Costa once again, he had reached out to me, and he was one of those. I know this is something that some podcast listeners do, where they just go to the first episode and they listen to them all in order, and they go down that road. So when you look back at it, you're like, holy crap, like how much things have changed in this year. Unbelievable. Absolutely amazing. It's been fantastic for me, fantastic for Sean. We're both getting to do some amazing shit that we never really thought was going to be something that we could get away with doing and have like this sort of result. I mean, it's really, really fantastic. So I appreciate you guys. You guys are pretty freaking awesome.
1 year's worth of episodes. Most important statistic, 0 host/co-host divorces.
It's true. It's true.
That's our biggest feat, is that we have somehow managed to convince the women we love not to leave us over this shit.
It's true, man. I'm telling you. And I mean, it's been some close calls. No, I'm just Oh my goodness, guys. Take good care of yourselves. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We appreciate you so much. Remember, if you enjoyed this experience of seeing the making of the sausage, so to speak, when we produce these shows and we mess stuff up and all that stuff, we do it on YouTube and all that. Well, if you join our Patreon, become a jighead over at jigsandbigs.com, check that out there. It's $5 a month. You're directly supporting the show, helping us make things happen. The more members we get over there, the cooler stuff that we can do, and we're just kind of getting things started over there, just sort of getting our feet wet at Patreon. So if you love this show, go over there and sign up. You can get access to all of this stuff as it gets doled out to every single episode, not just once in a while when we're doing this on an off night or something. But lots of great stuff happening, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of it all. Take good care of yourselves. Sean, do you have anything you'd like to add?
We need to start working on the bull ball challenge. Anybody knows how to cook bull balls and is in the Western Mass, Northern Connecticut area?
Interesting you bring that up. Interesting you bring that up. So remember I said Saturday I really didn't do a whole lot with getting out on the water. It wasn't an unproductive day.
Oh.
I took a deep dive and messed up my YouTube search history looking up recipes for Rocky Mountain oysters, and I found a contender. I think I'm going to end up cooking these things myself.
You sure?
They're also about $20 a pound.
That's scallops.
What I'm thinking is what we should do is make a presentation like this. We need to buy a pair and make them for the garnish and boil them for safety. And then leave those, to the side as, like I said, a garnish. I've been told that the end product tastes very much like it has the texture of a slightly overcooked chicken nugget. But it's not unpleasant at all. You know, that it's very neutral, and you know, maybe we'll have some, maybe we'll do a bring your own sauce type thing, you know, and like or do a sauce bar or something like that. You know, I'll bring down this magic little bottle. You know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I can tell you what mine will be bathing in some Nando's.
I was going to say
down the
Nando's, man. That's the way to do it. You know, we'll go and do that, but I'm thinking like we'll make this nice big board with all Rocky Mountain oysters, and then suspended on the top on like a bed of kale. Just, you know, the whole bull testicle to remind everybody and pay homage to the bull. You know what I mean?
Hair on and everything, or what?
I'm not talking about the full-ons. You can go clip that sucker yourself. Have at it.
Somebody's gonna come back and be like, "How'd it go today, honey? Sean and Bobby are a couple of sick bastards. They had a whole giant fucking bull nutsack on a table. Why?
Oh.
Well, look at it. You know what? If you want to do that with a bed of kale, surprisingly that you mentioned the kale, we did my spring yard cleanup. Me and my sons went out there and cleaned up our yard.
Nice.
On Friday, I think it was. And surprise, surprise, I had leaves that got into my garden. I have a raised bed garden.
Yep.
And
it's kale.
All the kale, because kale grows in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
All the kale grew right back. We got plenty of kale.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
I ain't done shit to that garden. And the kale said, "I got your back, bro."
I got you, buddy. Nice.
Yeah.
Kale is hardy, man. It is. It's not, you know, I know it's like the trendy vegetable too. Like a lot of people are just like, oh, such and such kale. I've been eating kale for a long time. Kale, collards, chard. I love it all.
I'm new to the kale game, but I'm all right with it. It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down with it. But so that's the idea. Yeah. Boats and Scroats is for sure happening. We got to get firm on a date, on a good solid date of when this is going to happen, and
a good thick date.
A good thick date. Damn, boy.
Hey, where's he on your soundboard?
I haven't migrated that stuff over to this computer yet. Fail. Yes. 0.0 credit for that one.
And you know who's upset with that too is Howie. Howie's very upset with that.
By the way, very little feedback with Howie. I mean, we did get some, and it was like, that was hilarious, or it was either one of two extremes, that was hilarious, or you guys are out of your minds, or a mixture of both. But, I mean, I'll say I probably heard from like 3 people. I thought we were going to ruffle some feathers with Howie.
Nobody gives a shit about Howie.
I know. Fuck Howie.
Yeah.
He's still here, by the way, but, you know, it is what it is.
He's lurking around.
He's skulking. He's doing his own skulking around. Anyway, guys, we'll let you off the hook for this episode here. We'll be back with more good stuff for you in a week, and lots more really good interviews coming up too. And but we'll see you guys in a bit. All right, we'll see you guys in 7 days. What the hell am I talking about? Take good care of yourselves. Get on some good fish. Get out there and catch them, man. Tight line.